Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're about to start the meeting. Tonight, order of business for September 14th, 2021. This is the regular meeting of the Dearborn Heights City Council. Madam Clerk, can you please take roll call?
Give her 1 second.
Oops. Sorry, didn't realize you were there.
Dave Abdallah,
Here.
Zuhair Abdahak,
Here.
Mo Beydoun,
Here.
Robert Constant,
Here.
Denise Malinowski Maxwell,
Here.
Ray Muscat is absent, Tom Wenzel is absent. Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Tonight, I'd like to have Dave Abdallah, Councilman Dave Abdallah, lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. First item on the agenda is our city citations honoring officers and civilian dispatchers for exceptional and distinguished service. Go ahead, Chief.
Thank you, Council Chair. Council members, thank you for having us here, and citizens that are joining us by video and that are here present with us tonight. I'm going to ask that our officers that are being awarded and our dispatchers that are being awarded a council citation today to please come forward, and so they can be recognized, and we're going to read off a little citation. Before I get into the details of the citation, many times law enforcement officers and our public safety dispatchers, events happen on a day-to-day basis that we want to recognize, but understanding that we work in a field where everything we do is scrutinized, it is reviewed, and it is looked at 1, 2, 3 times, because sometimes the actions we have to take are both serious and grave. And if we do our jobs properly, like the men and women here today have, we can come here today and celebrate the great work that they have done, protecting themselves, protecting others, and protecting the residents of Dearborn Heights. So without further ado, I'm going to go over the events of that day and why it constituted each of these members of our agency to earn a council citation on behalf of the people here of Dearborn Heights. So on August 29th, 2020, at approximately 14:17 hours, or 2:17 p.m., Sergeant Mohammed Bazi, Officers Ahmed Mazloum, Officer Mohammed Shami, Officer Wesley Ananik, Officer Mehdi Ayub, and Officer Hamza Yunus were dispatched to the 400 block of Yorkshire Boulevard on the report of a male with a gun actively shooting. This location is in the western side of our north end of our city. It's a densely populated apartment complex. Dispatchers Laura Nason, Alana Duff, and Esmeralda Barba received information from a female caller that the subject was standing on an adjacent second-story apartment balcony holding a rifle. Dispatchers, through calm and exact information collection, were notified by the 911 caller that prior to calling for the police, her boyfriend had a brief encounter with the male on the patio, and that subject pointed a rifle at him. Dispatchers verified the caller was not in harm's way. The caller advised dispatchers that she was inside of an adjacent apartment and could still observe the armed male from her vantage point. Dispatch continued to obtain real-time intelligence to best support responding officers, to include the male was firing the rifle into the air, would retreat inside of the second floor apartment, and periodically reemerge onto the balcony. All this while census takers, children, and residents of the apartment complex scrambled for their safety. Through experience and the ability to multitask in a high-stress environment, dispatchers were able to quickly determine the likely apartment number and information regarding the armed subject's identity. Additionally, dispatch determined that the police department had an extensive history of responding to this residence, and that a flag or a computer notification had been placed on the location within our computer-aided dispatch system to alert responding officers that the male subject at the location had identified mental health concerns and was often violent with police. Dispatchers remained on the phone with the caller to obtain vital information concerning the subject's violent and unpredictable actions as officers began to arrive. Officer Wesley Ananich was first to arrive at the entrance of the apartment complex and recognized the extreme danger of responding to a multi-building apartment complex with winding roads, shared courtyards, and limited sight lines. While standing by for additional officers to arrive, Officer Ananich had the awareness and poise to utilize his in-car computer to pull up a map of the apartment complex and to pinpoint the apartment building where the subject was located. With this information, Officer Ananich and other responding officers were able to park their vehicles in a safe distance and tactically approach a location on foot to minimize the danger to each other. Upon their approach to the location, officers recognized that an armed subject shooting from an elevated position placed them at a tactical disadvantage and took up various positions of cover from the apartment building across the street. Officers began to relay real-time information to dispatch in a calm and collected manner, including the male periodically emerging onto the balcony while armed. Sergeant Bazzi and Officer Ahmed Mazloum entered the adjacent building, which provided them greater cover while maintaining a visual of the subject. At one point, officers observed the armed subject conceal himself behind the door wall blinds in what appeared to be an attempt to lie in wait or ambush responding officers. Sergeant Bazzi's leadership skills recognized the danger and dynamics of the incident and directed dispatch to request mutual aid from neighboring jurisdictions. Responding officers continued their mission to protect life while understanding the unpredictable behavior of this armed subject. Officers began to give verbal commands to the armed subject to drop his rifle and exit the apartment building in a peaceful manner. The subject responded with hostile comments, pointed his rifle at the officers, and eventually fired upon their positions. Having no other recourse and the continued actions of the subject to shoot at officers and others in the area, multiple officers engaged the subject, risking their own lives to stop this ongoing threat to life. This exchange of gunfire appeared to stop this threat as the subject fell to the balcony's floor. While Officer Mazloum held his position of cover, he provided security watch of the subject, who was still in arm's reach of his weapon. Sergeant Bazzi, along with Officers Mazloum, Officer Ayub, Officer Yunus, and Officer Ananich, formed a quick reaction team to enter the building, secure the subject, and render aid to that subject. The subject was located on the balcony of the apartment and determined no longer to be a threat to life. Tragically, upon entering that apartment, officers also discovered 2 female victims who were deceased of apparent gunshot wounds inflicted from that subject. A complete and extensive independent investigation by the Michigan State Police Special Investigative Unit and reviewed by the Wayne County Prosecutor's Public Integrity Unit determined that every officer involved acted lawfully and within their scope of responsibilities to protect their lives and the lives of others. Sergeant Bazzi, Officer Mazloum, Shami, Ananich, Ayub, and Yunus exhibited courage and heroism in the face of extreme danger. The subject's actions on that day showed a complete disregard for human life, to include his own. The swift response and coordination by these officers, combined with their dependence on training and tactics, ended an ongoing threat to life. Dispatchers Nason, Duff, and Barber remained calm and professional while receiving and disseminating critical information that assisted officers in their actions. This joint effort unquestionably saved lives and should serve as an example for all members of the Dearborn Heights Police Department. It is for these exemplary actions by these members of our police department that I would like to award each of them with a council citation endorsed by all members of council and the mayor of Dearborn Heights. start with dispatcher Elena Duff. Give me one sec here, I got one more. I got it. All right, we'll just start
We
with.
stood out of order.
What's that? We can
We
do it
stood
out of
out of
order. Give me one sec. You're going to be the last one I look at, Laura. All right. Give me one more sec. Yours is here somewhere, Laura. We'll go through it. All right. Officer Mohammed Shami. Officer Ahmed Mazloum. Officer Wesley Ananik. Sergeant Mohammed Bazi. Dispatcher Laura Nason, I found it. Officer Mehdi Ayub. And last but not least, the school resource officer here at Riverside Middle School now, as well. And I try not to single anyone out, but we have very young officers, some very experienced officers from other agencies. But that day was Officer Hamza Yunus's first day off of probation and riding by himself as a police officer. So he experienced something that people would never experience in their career. He did it as 1 year and 1 day on the job. The first day he would be riding by himself off of probation. So Mr. Mayor, thank you for giving us this opportunity to present them with this award. We appreciate what you do, and the mayor and the council for our police department. Thank you very much for having us here. Good job. Good.
Okay, at this time, we will move along. We have agenda approval.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Constant?
I move that the Order of Business for the September 14th, 2021 regular meeting of the Dearborn Heights City Council as amended be approved.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Baydoun. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair, do you
Council-
want to change
I'll
the...
just do it when I get there.
Okay,
That
Thank you.
Doesn't change what the content.
no problem.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have approval of the minutes. This is the minutes from the electronically held regular meeting of August 24th, 2021, with the amendment to motion 21-439.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah?
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the minutes for the electronically held regular meeting of August 24th, 2021, with the amendment of motion 21439 to reflect the corrected term expiration date of January 2nd, 2023, as outlined in item 4A.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Baydoun. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have public hearing and comment on agenda items. There is a 2-minute limit, and it must be on items that are on this current agenda. Please step up to the podium if you have any comments to make on that. Okay, I don't see anyone.
Oh.
I thought it was
he
two.
walking up,
Yeah. Okay, let's move on. Next, we have fund transfers and current claims.
Madam Chair,
Councilman
I
Baydoun.
move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the current claims 6-1 through 6-31 as submitted.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Abdul Haq. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have consideration of bids. This is Police Chief Meyer's bid award to lawn maintenance for the Justice Center.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah?
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council award the bid for lawn maintenance at the Justice Center to United Lawn Care and authorize the Comptroller's Office to return all bid bonds to the companies that completed the bidding process. In addition, Corporation Council will prepare the contract and present it for approval at the next council meeting as outlined in item 7A.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, under reports from mayor, we have a request for proposals package for residential solid waste, auto side collection and disposal.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Baydun.
I move that I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council know and file the request for proposal package for residential solid waste, auto side collection and disposal as provided by Gary Miyake, Corporation Counsel for the City of Dearborn Heights as outlined in 8A.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion?
Council Chair,
Corporate Council Miyake?
I'm sorry, but it actually should be approved for distribution or dissemination.
Mo, you want to,
You want to change
If you
the
could
word?
amend the motion.
To approved.
To approve, yes.
To approve.
You may want to add the word receive too, just in case, for technicality.
To receive and approve.
Receive, note, file,
Receive, note, and file.
approve.
Receive, note, file, and approve.
Okay,
Okay.
that's good.
King, is there any discussion? Oh, wait. There was a second on that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But, wait, Madam Chair,
Yes.
was somebody else? Me?
Oh, no, go ahead. It's discussion.
So I'd like to ask a question of the mayor and administration. We've obviously had some challenges, to say the least, that a lot of residents tell us in regards to GFL. And I know they promised they were going to work with us, and we gave them an opportunity, and I know we're going out for other potential bids from potentially other companies. But I just want to see from your end and your perspective, because I've called administration different times for different residents that have complained, and I can tell you I've gotten more complaints than I've gotten definitely in the last month and a half or 2.5 months or so, much more than I've gotten in the first 2, 3, 4 years we were with them. What has been done by them any differently so far, A? And then B, what's been your experiences with them recently, obviously within the legalese that you can comment on? There's some things maybe you can't comment on, but what have they done to improve? Because I'm going to tell you honestly and bluntly, I've not seen any improvement. As a matter of fact, if anything, and I gave them a get-out-of-jail-free card when it first happened, because at that particular point, we had just had a major storm, 2 of them, and obviously there's employment issues, and they mentioned it, and I figured, you know what, we got to be a little lenient. But those complaints are continuing to happen up to and including as recently as the last couple days. And I have one that said it's been like 2 weeks where they haven't been picked up in Military Hills, and other calls, of course, that I've had. So I'm just wondering, what have they done any differently than when we talked with them about a month and a half ago, in your opinion?
Well, actually, it's not in my opinion. I can tell you what's actually been happening.
Okay.
Up to like about 2.5 hours ago, I've gotten 2 calls from residents that they haven't had their trash picked up in 3 weeks, and there's maggots, rats. I've never seen this before in my life. I mean, not in the U.S., but it's ridiculous. They've gotten worse, actually. I haven't seen any. There hasn't been any improvement. And I remember at the last meeting, I don't know who brought him here, who invited him here. I know it wasn't the administration, but we were actually talking about sending it out for bid, when you guys approved it several weeks ago. I remember Councilman Baydun mentioned they swore to him that they're going to improve, but I haven't seen any. I mean, it wasn't even the same. It's gotten worse. There's, like I said, I've been to neighborhoods that, I mean, even with a mask, I can smell the stench coming out from the trash. So it's gotten a lot worse than what it was before. And I don't know why is that? I've talked to several cities. We've had several meetings with several mayors. You know, we have this conference with several mayors from the Southeast Michigan. Nobody's having the issues that Dearborn Heights is having. They've having some issues, but not as bad as Dearborn Heights.
So nobody's having issues, I just want to clarify, with GFL specifically
Yes.
in other areas, or nobody's having issues with garbage collectors in general?
Nobody's having issues with, even with GFL, as bad as Dearborn Heights. They're saying the worst that they've seen it is 1, 2, maybe 3 days. Not as like us, 3, 4 weeks. in some
That's
cases.
unacceptable, I
Yeah,
agree.
it's definitely, 2 days is unacceptable. And again, like I stressed at the last meeting we had, when you have residents that they complain, they need vehicles removed from the street because they can't collect their garbage. Now we're asking residents to keep their vehicles in the driveway because we don't know when GFL is going to pick up trash. So it's not fair, so it's, like I said, this is ridiculous. I've reached out to several companies. Everybody's more than happy to bid on a contract. They want to they want the business. They're willing to take it on, and the calls are more than quadrupled into the city hall. Myself, I'm answering phone calls about trash. I'm getting about probably 15 to 20 calls a day myself, my emergency manager, my executive assistant, my chief of staff, DPW. I know they're getting stressed out. I get a sheet almost every other day, filled out sheet, Excel sheet of calls from residents. So this has gotten out of hand. The only way we can fix this, and again, there's other issues, I can't discuss it for legal issues, that I have to talk to Mr. Miyake and myself regarding penalties. And I hope nobody from the council reaches out to GFL because there will be a legal matter. So I appreciate if nobody contacts them right now unless they go through the attorney, our attorney.
And then the second question I had is for our attorney. So I went through the contract and tried to the best of my recollection to compare it with the contract that we had with GFL. So in the best of your recollection, well, first of all, I tell you one of my concerns that I want to bring up, but in addition to that, I want to see from your end, was there any major changes between this RFP and the previous one that we put out for GFL? That's the first question. And if there are, what major changes did you see fit to be done? And the second question I had for you is, and this is something maybe for our council as a whole to consider, is this is for an 8-year contract, and there's pluses and minuses to this. One plus to this is you get them to commit a particular dollar figure that they're committed to us for that figure for the next 8 years, and we know we're not going to get a new company that's going to either raise the fees, or even the same company, GFL or whoever they happen to be, Waste Management, et cetera, to raise the fees on us. That's one argument. There's another argument when you give somebody a short-term contract, you're putting them on notice that, hey, buddy, we're only going to give you a commitment of 2 years. If you do well, we'll give you more. But if you're not going to do well, you're out of here. I know we always have an out clause, and that's a great clause to have in there. That's definitely a great clause to have in there. But a lot of companies know and realize that when you're committed by contract, even though you have an out clause, it's just too much trouble to change companies. So sometimes they're going to start to feel very comfortable and think it's very convenient that we're going to stay with them for 8 years. Just a debate on our council to consider maybe a shorter term contract, possibly 3 or 4 years, in my opinion. Thank you. So two-folded question, Councilor. Well, first one to you, the second one maybe for our council to give their opinions.
Okay, if I may.
The first one is on changes in the contract, please.
Sure, there are several. First of all the penalties have been doubled, and that's been clarified. One of the other things that is now expressly included is the ability to cure. Councilman Constant is probably familiar with that term. It's something that basically, or I should say cover, it's something taken from Uniform Commercial Code kind of parlance. In other words, if there is a sustained breach, we have the ability to automatically go out and not only cover, but also if we've acted in good faith and met the requirements that are stated in here, we can just offset that against anything we'd otherwise pay to the contractor without having to worry about penalties. The penalties would be in addition to that. So that improves our ability to do what we were forced to do recently, and makes it very clear that that's what we're going to expect with respect to this agreement. Essentially, this also keeps us from having to deal with them being in default and curing. When I mention the word cure basically means if you have a default or you have a breach, you have an ability to basically remedy that breach within a certain amount of time. We've cut the amount of time considerably by giving the city the option to cover. So essentially
To bring our
now,
own company.
yeah, so if you look at page 29, you'll basically see if it's 4 more days, we can go out and do what we need to do to cover. We just have to make sure we provide appropriate notice and otherwise act in good faith. And I borrowed some concepts from the Uniform Commercial Code that are not otherwise applicable in this context to basically end up coming up with something that I felt would be fair, because obviously if we are selecting a contractor, the contractors who put in the bids don't want to end up basically putting in a proposal and then feeling like they're going to get jammed, and they're going to cost that into whatever proposal they put into. So that's what I would consider to be the main portions of this that were changed. Of course, some of the differences that were also fairly time-consuming were the fact that the original RFP package had to do with the purchase of all of these carts.
Correct.
This one assumes that we are going
We
to
have them.
use the same carts.
Right.
And that they will have the new company, if there was a new company, existing company, they would have to provide new carts, but they wouldn't have to end up putting out all of these carts.
I've seen that.
Which ends up basically, allowing us more flexibility in terms of cost and things along those lines. In terms of the amount of time that you've mentioned, it would still contain the same language that we previously had. And that is one of the reasons it should be noted that if the council decides to select a new contractor, we will rely on the 90-day notice to be given to GFL. We have an option to terminate the contract at our choice, at our discretion. They do not have such an option. So, in essence, what we can end up doing in this situation is just say, hey, look, we're terminating this agreement. Now, we, again, can't do it immediately because there needs to be some recognition of the amount of time. So I believe and if I may just go to the termination provision in here, just take me a moment to find it. This is not a short document. I believe that the first year and a half of the agreement, we have to have cause to terminate. But thereafter, we can terminate upon 90 days notice. And I just want to make sure that I'm correct in saying that, because I know that that's what I believe it was before. So if you could just bear with me a moment as I go through all of these pages. Again, it is a long document.
But, so, Council Chair, if you don't mind?
Sure, go ahead.
While you're looking for that, I still disagree with an 8-year contract, because we were with GFL right now. We're in the process of switching, possibly, potentially, and again, I know it's possibly and potentially, switching companies. And we've been able to put this together and pretty much no bumps in the road, at least so far. So same way we could switch companies right now after, Mr. Mayor, have we been 2 years or 3 years with them already?
We have 3 years left.
But how many years have we been with them already?
I think 5 years. Was it close to 5
Right.
years?
Okay.
This was an 8-year
Okay,
contract.
right, I remember.
This allows for a 5-year with a mandatory if you're going to put in a proposal of 5 years. But if you want to, you can put in for an 8-year, but it's an optional thing.
See, I don't like a long-term contract because I'm just using just the law of just humanity. They're going to get comfortable. They know they've got us for 8 years. If you notice their customer service, even before the flooding, it was definitely starting to drop. But if you also notice their customer service day one, I even noticed it. We were promised brand-new trucks throughout. That's not a major ordeal. But in the beginning, there were brand-new trucks. Because when GFL comes through, at least my neighborhood, usually I'm getting ready to go to work and I see them, go through. In the past, there were mostly brand-new trucks. Now they're older trucks. That's not a make or break deal for me, okay? Obviously, I'd like to have newer trucks because it looks nicer in the city. But it also tells me the psychology of it, that they're relaxed, they're comfortable, they've got us for 8 years. I personally am against, just to put it out there, I'm against an 8-year contract. I would give them 3 or 4 years maximum, or at the worst case, it could be a 4-year contract with a 2-year option for us. So they would be on notice. They'd only have us for 3 or 4 years, no long-term 8 years. 8 years is a long time. I know you have kids, and just think of how long it took for them to get to 8 years. That's a long time for us to commit to them. I'm personally against that.
Well, this is a 5-year. It is not, it's not, again, it's not an 8-year. And I think we did that with the idea that they would have some sort of notion of certainty, and that would basically give them an ability not to have to bid with the idea of as much uncertainty. If they have uncertainty, they're going to bake that into their proposal and the cost.
Okay,
So
but
that's part of the idea. And the last time we did it, because there was the need to spread out the cost of the new carts. So that was.
But we don't have that need now.
That's true, but on the other hand, you know, I mean, I'm not necessarily familiar with this business, but my sense is it's capital intensive, and therefore it at least in my sense, would make sense to end up having a certain level of certainty, because they do have an obligation. I also changed all of the language having to do with their vehicles having to be newer model vehicles, similar to what we have
Sure.
in the other one.
But it's not a capital situation, because the last time, again, it's not a make or break for me, but we were promised brand-new trucks throughout. They'll be nicely painted, nicely cleaned up and whatever, and that did not happen. I can tell you right now, when I see a new, and I drive around all the time in my, business, when I see a new truck, it's a rarity versus the commonality. And the second thing lastly I want to say, it is in there that it's an 8-year period. So as a matter of fact, if you look at page 1, it's probably 5 lines down. It says, although such proposals are not required by the RFP package, the city will also consider responses to this RFP package from a qualified firm to provide all services for an 8-year period. And I'll state again, I'm
But
totally
the
against it.
prior sentence, Councilman, says the city is seeking responses to this RFP package from qualified firms to provide all services for a 5-year period starting on or about January 31, 2022. Although not required, we could do 8. I mean, under the circumstances, there's no obligation for the city to choose the 8. There's no obligation for the city to even choose the 5. But the 5 is what is basically being put on the table. If they put in a proposal, it's going to be, they have to include a 5. And if there's propensity on the part of the council to say, we don't want to do 8, that's committing far too long, then council just doesn't have to do it.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
I have Councilman Baydoun and then Councilman Abdul Haq. Go ahead,
Thank you so
please.
much, Madam Chair. And I just, I will tell you that I agree with Councilman Abdullah. I've 8 years, think about it. I can't imagine my son being 8 years old and I'm still with the same garbage company. But that's first and foremost. July 27th meeting, there was representatives, I don't know who invited them here, but there was representatives from GFL here. And I told them that, can you give us a promise, and will you come out here, and will you, he said mid-August. We are September 14th today. I swear to you, as much as the administration is receiving, because I mean, Lee is out here, and I know he knows this. I'm calling him every day with different, phone calls from residents that are still having issues and not having their garbage picked up. I swear I have a resident that called me 6 times, messaged me on Facebook. I didn't know what to tell him. I really didn't know what to tell him. I finally ended up telling him, call the mayor's office. But then again, this to me it's gone way too far. I don't know what we need to do to cancel them and just terminate our contract. Whatever the legality steps are, let's just do it. Let's move on. I want nothing to do with GFL. I just want you guys to, and I'll say that openly on the record. I'm sorry if that gets me in any trouble, but I want you to know I want nothing to do with GFL, and I would hope that my colleagues would agree with that as well.
Well, Council Chair, if I may.
Go ahead, Council, Corporate Counsel.
Thank you. Mr. Conrad had a discussion with a potential bidder, and they indicated that they would need at least 30 days, up to 60 days to end up being able to transition if we were to end up not going with GFL. So if we were to rely on our ability to terminate the contract based on a breach of contract, essentially we would be gaining like 30 more days in terms of lead time.
Okay.
So, and there's a reason I don't necessarily want to go into
That's
at this
okay.
point, why we probably want to be starting in January as opposed to starting in December.
So let me just finish up here, Corporate Counsel. And then my next question to you is, if we were to, say, terminate our contract with them because they've breached it, are we penalized? Are the residents or the taxpayers going to be charged, or is the city going to be charged any fee for terminating this contract?
There are two issues with respect to that. One of them is if we did rely on the for-cause termination and said we're going to do it now, we don't really have a backup plan right at this time. The second problem is that they might say, look, we don't believe that we've actually been in breach, so we are going to sue you for that 90-day period and claim damages, which, to be frank, we have an easy way to deal with this that doesn't have exposure associated with it. That's why this approach was taken.
This, I just want you to know, it's appalling. It really is. I'm so embarrassed. I don't know what to do at this point, honest to God. I get these phone calls, and I don't know what to say anymore. I get the same phone call from the same residents, from the same community, telling me my garbage isn't picked up. I do not know what to say. So to the residents, I'm sorry. I don't have an answer. I don't think any of the council has an answer.
You do now, if this passes, you have something to
Well,
say
I mean,
after this.
then I'm going to tell you, I'm glad that I can support this. So if we could take a vote on it with my colleagues, I'm sorry that the other two aren't here to take initiative in this, but yeah, I asked my entire colleagues to vote yes on this thing.
We got two other councilmen.
Thank you.
Abdulhak?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to make sure in the contract that we have enough penalty in case they defaulted, and the city has to go for somebody else to do the collection like we did. We gave $300,000 to collect the garbage by somebody else during the flood. I want to make sure that this money that comes from their pot, not from the taxpayers. So if you can add that to the contract, please.
Well, Councilman, if I may, and Council Chair, if I may.
Go ahead, Corporate Counsel.
I believe that's what that whole cover provision, if you look at it, it's in page 29 of the RFP package. It's under the provision R, default and cover. The cover provision is brand new. Like I said, I think it's a very good provision. I mean, if I do say so myself, that basically I think is reasonably fair, but at the same time, make sure that the city's residents are protected in case we have this same
I
situation.
just saw how much tonnage of garbage we have extra and more than usual during the flood. Just want to make sure whatever we have experienced, that it is covered 100%, and we do not.
I think that would be an item that would be, I don't know that I would be able to draft something specifically addressing the tonnage issues. It would be a bit difficult, except from the standpoint that this cover provision essentially would end up doing that, because our cost, if it is related to the tonnage, would end up being taken out of what the contractor is supposed to get paid. So if it's a tonnage issue in terms of, geez, we have to pay extra because there's so many tons, we can say, well, if we followed the provisions for covering ourselves, then we just take that out of what we'd otherwise have to pay the contractor.
Okay, thank you.
Is that helpful? Thank you.
Councilman Constant?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good job, Corporate Counsel Gary Miyake. As the city attorney pointed out, the city has a duty to cover and to mitigate our damages. We were with Painter Ruthenberg, and then Waste Management, and now, and then Rizzo, which became Green for Life. But I too have heard a lot of complaints, and what's most annoying is, number one, some houses, the trash will just sit. It'll be a large pile, and I know that people have called in, and the pile just sits and remains, and it's like they don't touch it. And what's most disturbing is if somebody talks to a driver, they'll use foul language, or they're not customer service oriented. I know at the last meeting of the Central Wayne Sanitation Authority that I attended, our numbers, our tonnage numbers were way up. And that may have been because we had an additional hauler that we hired, I don't know if did they dump the trash at
Yes.
the same landfill?
Yes.
And now our city engineer and our DPW director, Robert Conrad, are going to be attending those meetings. But yeah, we're talking about a lot of dollars, an important service, and it's very important we get what we pay for. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, are we ready to vote on this?
Yes, Madam Chair, and I
Okay.
hope that our council would all
Let's-
agree for this.
let's-
Chair?
Councilman-
I just want to clarify, so, I mean, this is not a vote, but are we going to change the number of years, or are we voting based on 8 years? Or 5 years with the 3-year option?
I would like to see it, you're right, I'd like to see it less than that, so if we can amend that.
Because if you remember, I said I'd like to see a discussion on the number of years.
Madam Clerk, what would be the proper procedure? Because we have a motion on the table. Do we have to vote on that first?
Right, it's a contract, so I would refer to Corporation Council. if you wanted
Corporation
to-
Council, what can we do?
Well, it's not a contract, it's a request for proposal.
Madam Chair,
Right, but
If I
but
may.
there's language throughout this document that would have to end up being changed if you're going to end up doing that. I mean, I can do it, it's not that
We have to refer it
difficult.
back to you for the next meeting then, right?
Nah, I would rather
Our
not. I
whole
want to vote
problem
on it
is
today.
that our timing on all of these things, it's all time sensitive. It's
we gotta vote on
basically
this
with
and
the
we gotta
idea
go.
that we will be like getting this done, putting it out in the
Okay.
next few days, having a meeting with the potential people who are going to put in proposals within a short amount of time thereafter, getting the proposals in, having them evaluated by the administration. Really, we've kind of set it for a rather quick track. So the idea that I would make the changes and bring this back, I think.
But-
Yeah, let's just
Council
vote on
Chair-
it. Let's
but
vote on
Council
it,
Chair-
get it going.
Wait, Council Chair, we don't necessarily need to bring it back, because the only thing you're changing is the number of years. So if we were to do it like this, if you were just to make the changes on the contract for the number of years, and then email it to us, all of us council members, with just that one change, and if everybody's got a problem, we'll go from there as far as what we do
It's
next.
throughout.
Yeah, it's
It's-
Chair?
Yeah, I would say that there's probably at least, and you also have this whole schedule that you might not be looking at. If you go to page like 36, you have all of these charts that have the different years. All that will end up being changed. And
That's
it's-
okay.
Again, it's tedious.
Chair.
I could do it,
Councilman Imda.
but, I don't know that, I mean, if you want
Well,
me to do it.
let me
then
ask you this, Council.
Madam Chair.
Can we change it later? When RFPs come back?
My recommendation would be for you to have me change it and tell me what the number of years would be. If you want me to change it, tell me what the number of years will be and tell me what the option will be, if any.
Madam Chair.
4 and
Right
6.
now.
4 and 6.
Okay, we've got Councilman Abdul Haq and Councilman Constant.
Go ahead.
as much as I agree with both Mo and Dave on the number of years, but nobody is going to come for 2 years contract or 3 years contract.
2 years with a 3-year
Actually, we get probably better rate if they know they're going to have longer time, and we have a protection in the contract. We can stop or get out of it anytime they do not perform. So for the sake of just speeding this process, I think we should just go with it as it is right now.
Madam Chair?
I agree.
I got Councilman Constant and then Councilman Baydoun. Go ahead, Councilman Constant.
Thank you, and I believe there's a price break the more years we have, but it's prepared, let's get it out. We need our trash picked up, we need to solve the problem. It's a different world these days, and when we first got what was then Rizzo, they had a lot of problems, which I won't go into. I think that it's a 5-year contract, and then we can get a price, 5 years, we can get a price for up to 8 years.
Okay, Corporate Counsel, go ahead, please.
I was just wanted to be recognized after,
Oh.
everyone else, so, I just want to say something afterwards, so, I'm sorry.
Lawyers always interrupt each other. Go ahead.
Well, I got Councilman Baydoun first, then Corporate Counsel. Go ahead, please.
So I just want to say, if we're going to go 4 years and with 2-year option, it allows the next council or whoever's going to be up here on a 4 years to be able to continue to look at that contract. I think 8 years, Councilman Abdullah spot on, nailed the hammer on the head. 8 years, way too long. In 8 years, I mean, who knows? Who knows what's happening in 8 years? Look at GFL, 5 years, and they're pushing us around.
Well, at this time, we do have a motion on the table that we need to address and vote on.
I just want you guys to know, it's 8 years, I feel like after 3, they're like, hey, we still got 5, let's push them around. And I'm done being pushed around.
But that is what I was going to address.
Corporate
Councilman
counsel?
Abdul-Haq is correct. We have a 90-day, after the first year and a half, we have the ability to simply say, you know, thank you, in 90 days, your services
Do we have
are no
that right
longer
now?
wanted.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
have
it's
that.
It's been 4 months, we're still fighting them.
No,
I
and
think
this
the
one-
standard is
a
at
company.
least 5 years.
This is the new
But we
one.
need to have a
The new
company to
one.
replace them with if we're going to replace them. So you're going to need to build that in regardless.
Whatever we gotta do to vote right now to get rid of GFL, I'm ready to vote on.
All right, well,
Okay,
you can vote on
let's
this.
get it going then. Okay, at this time,
with you.
okay.
Just get rid of
Point out. At this time, we have request for proposals package for residential solid waste, auto side collection and disposal. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No,
Who said no?
me.
Okay.
Are you joking?
All right.
I'm not for the number of years.
Okay, well, let's take
Let's
a
take the
roll
vote.
call. Councilman Constant,
Yes.
Councilman Abdullah,
No.
Councilman Baydoun,
Yes.
Councilman Abdul-Haq.
Yes.
Me, yes, it passes.
I warn you guys, Dave Abdullah is
Okay,
usually right.
next
so-
item on the agenda is Commission on Business Appointment.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah.
I move that Dearborn Heights City Council concur with the mayoral appointment of Jill Mislinski to the Commission on Business, term to expire January 2nd, 2023. This appointment is to replace Ali Beydoun as outlined in item 8B.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair?
Councilman Abdullah?
I'd just like to comment that I know Ms. Jill Mislinski, and she's been a reputable realtor for a long time, very good businesswoman, and I think she'll bring some good things to the table. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion before we vote?
Is she here?
No.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Baydoun?
I will also say that Ms. Kaczynski is actually my neighbor. Great addition there to our mayor, and thank you. Congratulations to my neighbor.
Okay, any further discussion before we vote on this? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. Next, we have Dearborn Heights Public Employees Association, also known as TPOAM, Memo of Understanding. We missed one.
8C.
You
We
missed
missed
one, Madam Chair.
I can make it.
Oh, I'm sorry, I
8C.
crossed off the wrong one. Okay, yes, we have
It's okay.
Central Wayne County Sanitation Authority, also known as CWCSA appointments.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Constant.
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council concur with the mayoral appointment of Mr. Ali Deeb, city engineer, as the primary delegate to the Central Wayne Sanitation Authority, and Mr. Robert Conrad, our DPW director, as the alternate delegate to the Central Wayne Sanitation Authority as outlined in 8C.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Baydoun. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Councilman Baydoun?
I also want to give kudos to the mayor on this appointment here, Ali Deeb. I probably call once or twice a week. Today, I had a business owner right on Dearborn and Gully, had a quick couple of questions, was trying to reach out. I know we don't like this, but I put him on three-way, and you know what? He called me back and said, Mo, I was so happy with speaking with Ali Deeb, and I got to tell you, Ali Deeb, I'm seriously so proud of you. So thank you so much for all that you do for us in the city of Dearborn Heights.
I agree
Madam
with
Chair?
you.
Councilman Abdullah?
I was probably one of the biggest critics of the hiring of Ali Deeb. I'll say it publicly, because I wasn't sure if we needed that type of position. But I can tell you, he's come through, and I've seen a lot of things that he does, and I've had many conversations with him. He's well respected in that particular community, because I've talked to different people that know of him. But also, in my particular experiences with him, I think he saved the city quite a bit of money over the years, or last year or so. Very knowledgeable, and I think he's definitely an asset to the city. But I'm saying it publicly that I was a critic of adding that position. Thank you.
Madam
Thank you.
Chair.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Constant?
And just briefly, I attended, the last meeting I attended in Wayne, our PE, professional engineer, Ali Deeb, was present, and all the other members are the DPW directors or deputy directors, and when they're talking about we get numbers every month, the commission gets numbers every month of what the tonnage was and all that, and that's something that our DPW director, Robert Conrad, and Mr. Deeb have a better handle on and know. So thank you.
Councilman Abdul-Haq?
Yeah, I can't add more than what Mo and everybody said about Ali Deeb. He's a wealth of knowledge. He always responded immediately to any request, I personally ask. But I'm going to ask you for the public and myself, what is this job doing? What are your responsibilities?
I can tell.
We'll give Ali Deeb a round of applause since it's so high level.
Thank you, Councilman. Just briefly, what the city engineer, can you hear me?
Yes.
So what the city engineer's job is basically to be the person that put all of our departments together. So when a building department puts a permit out, my position is to review the concept before the actual permit is approved, reviewed and approved. So you look at the projects, you look at the entire city system, the infrastructure, the capacity. So you track things like what we're currently doing on Ford Road for the new mall, the city mall next to Dearborn Fresh. So you look at capacity, you track infrastructure, you track traffic. You look at the entire project, not just the actual building code to see if the structure meets building codes. You're looking at the system, the placement of the structure. You look at the reviews. You work for the city. You're not a consultant. So you basically, this is where the buck stops. So you look at, if you do have a consultant, he reports, he makes recommendations. So we're looking at, the Honorable Council approved the contract to evaluate the fire department headquarters over on Beach Daily. So they're making a bunch of recommendations. Someone on the city side has to evaluate and decide what concept to go with and the impact, what the impact will be. So working with the mayor and the staff and the rest of the building departments or the city departments, you look at these concepts and find out what actually works for us. Not just to make repair recommendations. The consultant's looking for you. They will make recommendations and they ask you, okay, so what would you like to do? That's the position.
Just for our resident, this position wasn't available before. Mayor Bazzi appointed Mr. Ali Deeb, and I thank you very much for excellent choice.
I'm sorry, I just have a quick question. And so we know what the new businesses that are coming up on Ford Road, and it's great to have, but I also have to tell you I have a little concern, which I know I voiced my opinion several times. I live on the other side of Ford Road.
Yes.
So when I'm crossing to go east on Ford Road, and a car is crossing to go west, today, I just want you to know, I want you to know.
So for the first time, Councilman, the building department issued a limited permit for that new strip mall on Ford Road next to Dearborn Fresh. And that is because of what you just said. So the buildings meet every code there is. They meet the code, but the placement next to the rest of the facility. So no one ever looked at infrastructure capacity. No one looked at the traffic study prior to.
So that's where I'm getting.
We're currently doing.
So that's the question that I'm getting to. Are we going to reach out to MDOT? Are we going to ask MDOT, hey, can we get a traffic light over there? Because I'm going to tell you, it's 40 miles per hour on Ford Road. Cars are going 55. Yeah. Cars are going 50. I had this conversation earlier. And, I agree, our police department's doing a great job, but they can't sit there all day pulling every car that's going 50, 55.
And we all know the issues with Starbucks. The same way.
Exactly.
Yeah. So this is the kind of stuff that the placement of a new business or the placement of any new construction in a particular location, you need to look at the entire site, not just that piece.
So my question to you is, are you or the department and taking on this role before getting, while this is happening, are we going to reach out to MDOT and see if we can get any street lights on Ford Road?
Yes.
We are?
Yes.
Thank you.
And it's through Wayne County too, so it's
So I just want you to know, I've also been in contact with MDOT.
They are going to be issuing a traffic study.
Yep.
And I know that, with that growing, with a growing community, growing businesses, you're going to have a lot more traffic. We need to just slow things
And
down.
you still have development going on in this location. You still have development being proposed. So we actually meet with developers now before they go out for permit. So things like Beach Daily between the two churches and the new subdivision that's taking place. So we met with the developer way before the permit was even, before drawings were even completed. And the idea is not to have and wait until the developer comes up with 162, I think, townhouses or 92, and say, wait a minute, I can't dump that much traffic onto this location.
Thank you.
That kind of stuff. So we meet with them ahead of time, and this is the kind of planning that we were lacking before. So we met with them, and now that changed quite a bit.
And I also just want to leave it
In
out.
addition to looking for infrastructure, can I support 192 additional?
Yeah,
So you
exactly.
see, that kind of stuff. So we actually have a planning, even though we don't have a planning department, we act as a planning group. And then we tell them, this is actually to your advantage. So before you spend time and money on development, on even the design, to design 192 townhouses in that particular area is going to be expensive. We meet ahead of time, and then we tell them, we look at the infrastructure, we show them the capacity, we tell them what we have, and the location. It's public information. We provide that stuff to the developer and his design team ahead of time. And then that makes it easier when the permit is ready, and then we bring it out to you for review. We know all the answers. We've already,
Thank you.
did our homework.
Thank
You're a
you.
good man, Ali.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ali.
Okay, let's move this on, because we're not even halfway through yet. Okay, this time we are voting on the Central Wayne County Sanitation Authority, CWCSA appointment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next item on the agenda is Dearborn Heights Public Employees Association, also known as TPOAM, Memo of Understanding.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Baydun.
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the memo of understanding, MOU, between the City of Dearborn Heights and the Dearborn Heights Public Employment Association, TPOAM, which was bargained outside of regular contract negotiation as outlined in 8D.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Councilman Abdullah?
So I had a couple, Director Conrad, you may want to make your way over here because I'm going to ask you a question. But before I do, one question I had, it said in there that they're going to be paying a little bit higher. First question is, how much higher are we going? So in other words, what was the previous salaries? And the second question that I had for the director is, I've been communicated to by, and I'm not sure if other council members received it, but by members within the city. I'll leave it at that. They had some concerns about this, and most specifically, the memorandum of understanding. So although I do agree that we probably need to hire others, and I'm sure you've done your research, and I'm sure, as you always know, I'm always a proponent of paying people more money in order to be able to attract people. That's a fact in today's world. But what is the major concern? I assume it's a union concern, so
Elizabeth?
either yourself or Director Conrad, whoever's most knowledgeable on this.
So I'm not Robert Conrad, but I can speak to the wages.
Okay.
So currently, a fully certified mechanic is making $23.08 an hour, so that's with 5 certificates. That's much less than the going rate, and that means a person starts, if they have all those certifications, when they come to us as a new employee, for only $17.31.
Which won't work.
You got it.
No.
So the object of this is to recruit as well as retain the staff that we have, and to, as you can see, our minimum will be 3 certificates. So a person entering our organization with 3 certificates isn't going to be making the $25 an hour. It's going to start off at the $19 an hour, because there's a scale that goes up every year throughout the course of employment.
Okay, but the concern from this particular resident was possible change in morale in the department
Yeah.
because of possibly getting, and look, I'm going to tell you honestly, I can kind of see it. If you're paying me whatever it is, and then you bring in a brand new person, I've been here for 5-7 years, you bring a brand new person, they start at a higher rate than I started. I realize that's a business reality. I understand that part, trust me. But that's something also that's got to be addressed. I'm not saying I got 5,000 calls with just one person, but
So we're
maybe
sensitive-
it's just being the
So we're
loudest.
sensitive to that. We have a dire need. We have a lot of repairs that need to be made. We have a staff shortage in this area. We are trying to recruit, we're trying to retain, and so that's why this item was mutually agreed upon, that we would do this outside of the bargaining unit, bargaining negotiations. So with regards, obviously, I can't give you an update on the regular negotiations, but, you know, we're certainly considering everything.
So the union is in support of this?
Well,
This only, I know not the total contract, but just,
you know, this was signed off by the union president, so.
Madam Chair.
But
okay, thank you.
I have a question. I understand that the union members did not vote on this yet. Can you verify that?
I cannot, so.
Because I was contacted by several that said they were not given the option to vote on it, and and this is for corporate counsel, isn't that a requirement before it's brought before us, that the union members would have to approve a memo of understanding?
Ordinarily, I would expect that they would have ended up doing so. However, that does not necessarily affect us in terms of approval. We can approve, and then it's between the membership and the union leadership in terms of whether or not that has been appropriately approved on their end.
Okay, so if we approve it and then they vote and they don't approve it, that would cancel out our vote, right?
Then it would be considered to basically be something that has not been agreed to, and our offer to do this would end up being revoked at that point by virtue of.
Because I would like to just see the members vote on it first, and then we vote on it and it's cut and dry instead of worrying about, bringing it back to us or whatever. I think it would, in all fairness.
I think you can do it either way.
Right. We have a lot of employees that are
Council Chair.
upset. Mayor?
Okay, we have a dire need of trying to get mechanics. We've been going all over the place trying to find somebody right now. If one resident, whatever complaints that we're getting does not outweigh the residents that will be complaining when we have downed vehicles. Right now, if we have to go send a vehicle out for repair, we have to wait sometimes weeks, sometimes months to get a vehicle repaired. So is the council willing to answer the calls from the residents that why some things that, especially winter's coming around the corner?
I understand.
We got a lot of trucks that'll be going plowing snow. And right now, we don't have anybody that can maintain these vehicles. So we did everything we can to try to get this thing done. We did talk to, we had a meeting with the negotiation team with the union. It's in progress right now. We haven't come up with the final contract. We're still working on the contract with the union.
Right. I would feel better if the union members had their say, because according to several people, excuse me, let me speak. There's only one person that will benefit from us passing this, and why don't we just incorporate it in the union contract and in union negotiations that we're going through right now anyways? Why are we accelerating this beyond that? Because right now it's only going to benefit one person.
Madam Chair, who's that person?
I don't know. I don't know, and I wouldn't name them up here if I did.
Okay.
Because it wouldn't be fair to them.
All right. I would like to make a comment, please.
Go ahead.
I don't mind approving this and see if the union membership will approve it. We're not losing anything if they don't approve it.
I just want to make sure that
But what I agree with you that
Yeah.
they should have voted on it before it came to us. I agree 100% with you. But I'm looking at the rate
Oh, I agree.
of salaries for all our employees, from police, fire, mechanics, everybody. I am not happy with the entry level of those employees. I wish that, and I hope that the mayor and the human resources will look at the neighboring cities around us and compare the entry level for those, jobs. Because I don't see anybody can start a family with $30,000 as a dispatcher or as, mechanic. We need to attract people. We need to give them a fair salary. We need to give them fair benefit to attract them and retain them. So that's, my 2 cents in it.
Yeah, and I guess we've had problems with contracts in the past and approving them when they weren't approved by the actual
Madam Chair, I agree with
voters.
you 100%.
Remember what we went through?
For the sake of, looking at speed in the business, I vote for it, yes.
I agree. We can vote on it, but I would like to see the union members have their say too.
I agree with you 100%.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I just have one more question. for
Councilman
Corporate Counsel.
Baydoun, go ahead, please.
So I just want to reiterate this, and this is to Corporate Councilman Yaki. You're saying if we vote on this today, and the union goes back and votes on it, and they vote no, then this is
Yes, that
equaled
would
out,
be
it's tabled
considered,
out. So if
It's
we
not-
vote on this and they vote no on it, this gets tossed out.
right now, this would be considered an offer on our part to basically end up entering into this memo of understanding. They can accept it by virtue of their vote, assuming that what the council chair has been told is accurate. And that's how we could do that. One thing while I have the floor, though.
Go ahead.
We also should approve signatures by the mayor and the city clerk, because that wasn't part
I
of
was
the
just
original
going to ask you
motion.
to,
Okay.
yeah, I was going to ask you
Make the
to
motion
amend that.
again.
If you can authorize the mayor and clerk to sign on behalf of
Authorizing
the
the mayor
city.
and the clerk to go ahead and sign on it.
Yeah, there we go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then I just have one last question. So somebody's coming with certificate, so 5 certificates, is going to be making $27.39 or .7 an hour. But the mechanics, do we have any mechanics right now that are making less that have been with us prior to this?
So we have one person that has all the certificates and is making less, and so would be given a raise based on the schedule. And then anyone that has less than, it will be paid according to. Anyone new will be starting at the $20. If they have 5 certificates, it's $20.54 is the start, because it's 75% of this hourly rate.
Okay.
That's how the contract works. It's
So-
75% at start, 80, it's a tiered approach.
Okay, so is it fair, though, that somebody is going to, who's been with us?
So they are going to make more too. Yeah, so it's not like a new person's gonna come in and make 27 and the same person, and someone else that has the same level of certifications is only gonna be making 23. We're gonna raise the person that has the 5 certificates to this amount.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Based on their tiers, their terms of service.
Okay,
with us. Yeah.
that makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further
Chair.
discussion? Councilman Coniston?
Mayor and City Attorney Gary Miatke, do you have a feeling that if we approve this, that they will approve it and we'll be able to move forward quickly?
It would strike me that that would be indeed the case if the president of the union has suggested that. And I also think that it sounds like the best business judgment in this situation, just my personal opinion, to end up approaching in this way.
Okay, well,
And the sign of a good settlement is everybody walks away a little unhappy, so I would
Yeah.
vote to approve it.
can they let us know when the union votes on it so we know which way it goes? So we know if it's still out there?
Council Chair, you
Mayor?
guys have the final approval on the contract anyway. I mean, it's going to go in front of you once we're finished with it.
But this memo of
It's
understanding
going to go in
is
front of you too, man.
right away, right?
It'll go in front of you as well.
Pardon?
It's going to go in front of you once the union approve it. You guys have to approve it, the final contract.
So it's going to come back to us after the union approves it again?
No, not this, but the
Oh, you're talking about the contract
The
that's
final
being
contract.
negotiated, I think. is
Oh,
what-
that one, yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a reason why we're not negotiating that all with one, keeping it nice and clean instead of doing 2 parts?
we
Well,
need
it
to.
was a timing issue because we have an opening, a vacancy, and we're
Okay.
trying, and we also are trying to retain the people that are currently there who have expressed interest about leaving that area. And so we were trying to prevent a further crisis for like the winter with regards to the snowplows and any other major equipment that needs to be serviced for the bad weather.
Okay, thanks. Okay, at this time, this is for the Dearborn Heights Public Employees Association Memo of Understanding. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, under reports from city officials, we have Treasurer Hicks Clayton Smart Bank Account.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdul,
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council authorize the City of Dearborn Heights Treasurer's Office to open a new bank account for the Restricted Smart Funds, SMART, as outlined in item 9A.
Support.
supported by Councilman Baydoun. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Madam Chair,
Oh, Councilman Abdul
I just want to thank our treasurer for what she has been doing, and I believe you do have a team you're working with, right? Thank you for you and your team.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have Brownfield Chairman Emery, Brownfield 2021-2022 proposed budget.
Madam Chair,
Councilman
I
Baydun.
move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve of the Brownfield 2021-2022 proposed budget adopted by the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority on August 11, 2021, as outlined in 9B.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion?
Yes, Madam Chair,
Councilman?
is this for us to approve this budget or to receive note or in file? What is it for? They are not telling us what they want us to do.
Approve the budget.
Approve it, you approve it.
Just to approve
Mr. Roscoe had unfortunate circumstances, he could not be with us
Okay.
tonight. He said this budget is similar to past years, just the routine items that are a result of the active Brownsfield projects we have. Those numbers reflecting the amounts to which we are committed in the respective Brownfield project plans. So,
Madam Chair.
Okay.
Councilman Constant?
Yeah, when Governor Snyder came in, the availability of funds for things like the Brownfield credit were greatly reduced, but TIFA oversees the TIFA money and the Brownfield money, or the commission does, so just to approve their annual budget. Thank you.
Council Chair.
Councilman Abdullah?
I'd just like to comment for one of the funds that they're going to be putting out for is a property at 6425 Telegraph, which is a gas station that's definitely needed a little bit of a freshening up, and they're participating in that, and I think it'd be a nice, I remember the gentleman coming to the council meeting, he's got some great plans for that particular location, so it'll be nice to beautify our city even further. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion before we vote on this? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have CEDD Director Hashem, fiscal year 2019 CDBG CV Public Safety PPE, Fire Department coat PPE equipment purchase.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Abdullah?
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the payment of Fire Department coat PPE equipment from Phoenix Safety Outfitters in the amount of $18,144 as approved in Council Motion 20-396, and authorize the mayor and comptroller to sign the warrant and the treasurer to issue payment from fiscal year 2019 CDBG CV Public Safety PPE account 103-960-906 period 219 as outlined in item 9C.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Baydun. Is there any discussion?
A lot of P's and E's in there.
Any further discussion before we vote on this? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have CEDD Director Hashem, permission to dispose of equipment.
Madam Chair,
Councilman
I
Baydun.
move that the City of Dearborn Heights approve the disposal of obsolete, unusable, and/or damaged equipment, which includes a high-back leather chair and 3 printers, as outlined in 9D.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Abdul-Haq. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have Chief of Staff Hernandez, approval of WOW Business Service Order and WOW Business Customer Agreement.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Abdullah?
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the WOW Business Service Order and the WOW Business Customer Agreement with the following changes to page 5 of 5. The names of title of mayor and city clerk are to be inserted in place of those of Mr. Ismail. Further, authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign initial documents on behalf of the city as outlined in item 9E.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have Chief of Staff Hernandez, fiscal year 2021-2022 budget amendment.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Constant.
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council authorize the comptroller to amend the fiscal year 2021-2022 budget by funding account 101-809-981-001 by $600,000 and changing the name to PEG Capital Improvement. In addition, create a new revenue, a general ledger titled Appropriation from the PEG Fund Balance and budgeting it for $600,000 as outlined in 9F.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Abdullah. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah?
I'd like to know from Chief of Staff Mariana Hernandez, what is this being changed from? And most importantly, why is there a change? By the way, with the new facilities, they got a long walk over here. It's like what's one of the movies? I don't know. The red carpet.
I'm sorry. So the reason we're doing this is to simply clarify the budget. In the past, we used to simply transfer PEG account funds into our appropriations from the general fund and grabbing it from the bank account that was from PEG, so it was not clear where that money was coming from, except if you looked at the bank records, correct? Also, we had the capital expense account, which again, that would be funded from the PEG account and expended out of capital outlay. However, again, if there are different capital outlay projects that don't necessarily fit into the PEG criteria, we couldn't tell the difference between the two. So this is a way for us to be more transparent to the council and to better track the expenses of those restricted funds.
Okay, I appreciate that, because in the past, so now I see your motive, obviously. In the past, it was actually, to correct you, it was nowhere to be found, to be more specific. But thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion before we vote on this? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. The vote is minus Councilman Baydun. We don't have a quorum for that? Or okay,
four.
so you have four?
You have
Oh, we have
four.
four. We do, you're right, correct. Okay, next we have DPW Director Conrad, Purchase and Payment Highway Department Equipment, 2022 Elgin Broom Bear Street Sweeper.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Constant.
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the purchase of one 2022 Elgin Broom Bear Street Sweeper in the amount of $297,525.60. This price is from Bell Equipment Company, and the NIFA Southwell National Contract Agreement. In addition, authorize the mayor and comptroller to sign the warrant upon receipt and the treasurer to issue payment from the Highway Capital Improvement Outlay Account, number 101, et cetera, as outlined in 9G.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Abdul Haq. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah?
I'm just going to continue to put pressure on our administration and our DPW, and I know I've had conversations about this. I'm going to approve this because I'm all in favor for better city services, but again, I'd like to reiterate, I've pushed this for a long time, putting on our website which streets have been done and when, because consistently, people think that their streets are not being done. And if there's a way that people can somehow access that, I think it'd be a great plus for those, residents that are concerned whether their streets is done or not. Because I hear it consistently, they never come on my street. And yeah, I do see the sweepers all over town. I do see it, but that's the perception. So it's much easier for somebody that calls their council members, or they can look it up on their own, just which streets have been done and when they're being done. I think it would be a great thing to add to our website. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion before we vote on this?
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdul Haq.
when this going to take delivery?
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I just wanted to clarify that question. We do have it on the website. It was added since Mr. Dibb started, and he pointed it out himself. But to make it easy for everyone, the street sweepers have the same schedule as trash pickup.
Okay, so it has been added, you said?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Councilman Abdul Haq.
Yeah, when this going to be delivered to the city?
Robert Conrad, Director DPW. I can't actually give you a date on when it will be delivered. We first need an approval for the purchase of the equipment, and then it's all based on available equipment at the time. So right now, equipment's at a premium, and it's hard to get. It may not even be this year. It may be, something that will be delivered next year. But until we get on the list with our interest to move forward with the purchase, we will not know when our delivery date will be.
Okay,
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Baydun?
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. I just want you to know, I actually seen a street sweeper the other day in the street. I actually did a ride-along too with the plow truck with Mr. Zane, and I had a conversation with him. And I said, I'm going to be honest with you, there are some people, I get the phone calls, and people are saying that their streets are never being swept. My neighbor Mickey all the time. And I said, Mickey, here they are. And one of the concerns he said to me, he said, Mo, bring it up at the next city council meeting. So here I am, I'm bringing up what Wesley Zane said to me. He said, people are putting their garbage bins on the street and not on the actual grass, making it hard for the street sweepers to really clean that up. There are residents that are not removing their cars, and it's making it harder for them to actually sweep the streets. So these are concerns that, these DPW employees have. And if they're going, he goes, if I go down the street and there's cars all over the street, it's pointless for me to take the street sweeper down there, so they just go on to the next street. It's just, they can't maneuver through it. So to the residents that are at home paying attention and you want your street swept, your garbage bin's got to be on the grass, your car's got to be parked on the driveway, and the street sweepers will be there.
Thank you. Any further discussion before we vote on this? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have DPW Director Conrad, purchase and payment for Highway Department Equipment 2022 Freightliner chassis.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Constant.
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the purchase of one 2022 Freightliner chassis model 108 SD tandem axle 64,000 GVW in the amount of $101,721. This price is from Wolverine Truck Group and a Rochester Hills Co-op RFP RH 20-023 contract agreement. In addition, authorize the mayor and comptroller to sign a warrant upon receipt and the treasurer to issue payment from the highway capital account number 101-400-981-000 as outlined in 9H.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Abdullah. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have DPW Director Conrad, purchase and payment for Highway Department Equipment, another 2022 Freightliner chassis.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah.
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the purchase of one 2022 Freightliner chassis outfitted with Cryteal 14-inch dump, 14-foot, that'd be a small truck. 14-inch dump body, 14-foot, sorry, one more time. 14-foot dump body, hydraulic system, Monroe underbody scraper, Rexroth control system, and Monroe spreader, etc., as specified in the specifications in the amount of $97,655. This price is from Truck and Trailer Specialties, Inc. and a Rochester Hills Co-op RFP-RH-20-023 contract agreement. In addition, authorize the mayor and comptroller to sign the warrant upon receipt and the treasurer to issue payment from the highway capital outlay account number 101-400-981.000 as outlined in item 9I.
Support.
Support by Councilman Abdul-Haq. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Councilman Baydun.
Thank you so much, and if Director Conrad can, just for real quick, for the residents at home that are watching, can you explain this? Because, so if I didn't Google this, there's just so many different things, which is great. But I think it's important so that the residents and taxpayers know what they're purchasing and what we have and all the new gadgets that we're getting.
Okay, basically it's our standard snow plow with dump body, spreader, plow, underblade. Well, we're purchasing the plow lifting system. We currently have enough plows in our inventory that we don't need to spend the extra money to purchase a brand new plow. But the plows that we do have will hook up to this truck and be able to be operated.
How many of these trucks do we have now?
You know, I'm still a little new at this.
It's okay.
So-
Can you at least say, is it safe to say that by the next snowfall, we're gonna be covered when it comes to snow plowing?
We'll be covered as good as we were last year.
Okay.
I mean, again, this is like, from what I understand, there's like 12 units left, and we're trying to get one of those 12 units. So, I mean, I don't know if by the time this gets approved, that we'll get one of those 12 remaining units this year. You know, if not, we're gonna have to wait for next year's inventory to, you know, be released, so.
I know a good negotiator. Councilman Abdullah's a great salesman. If you want me to have him call him, he'd be more than willing to give him a call.
Okay, any further discussion before we vote on this? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. Next, we have Fire Chief Brogan, permission to accept AAA traffic safety grant.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Constant.
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council concur and accept the AAA Traffic Safety Grant and approve the purchase of items in the grant as listed in the award email and attachment. In addition, approve the budget amendment and increase revenue in miscellaneous fire account number 101-000-635.000 by $3,490.20 as outlined in 9J.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Abdul Haq. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. Next, we have Fire Chief Brogan, permission to accept AFG grant.
Madam Chair,
Councilman
I
Baydun.
move that the Dearborn Heights City Council concur with and accept the AFG grant. In addition, authorize the mayor to sign required documents as detailed in the attached award letter and authorize the controller to fund the new AFG grant reimbursement account 101-000-635.001 by $170,000, which is anticipated award amount. Furthermore, approve the 10% match as outlined in 9K.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have Fire Chief Brogan, purchase and payment for traffic safety equipment.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah.
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the purchase of 10 power flare devices and 20 reflective vests in the amount of $4,257. These items are approved by the AAA Traffic Safety Grant. In addition, authorize the mayor and comptroller to sign the warrant and the treasurer to issue payment from the capital outlay account 101-335-981.000 as outlined in item 9L.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Baydun. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have Fire Chief Brogan, permission to dispose of equipment.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah.
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the disposal of outdated computer equipment, which includes 8 desktop units with monitors and associated peripheral equipment as outlined in item 9M.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah.
I'd just like to point out for the residents, because I gotta be honest with you, I used to question this when I used to watch the council meetings, like, why would the city council vote on getting rid of a, little desktop computer? Sounds like silly for us to even vote on this. But just that per the charter, we are the only ones that can get rid of any type of city-owned property. Well, they can authorize it. So I just wanted to point out why we vote on these, because sometimes it seems almost silly to vote on something worth $100 for the city to get rid of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion before we vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have Grants and Budget Compliance Director Jamal, rescind Council Motion 21-418, FEMA MSP Grant Program.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Baydun.
I move that the City of Dearborn Heights rescind Council Motion 21-418 and authorize the city clerk to publish the Dearborn Heights FEMA/MSP Grant Program public notice for the acquisition and demolition program as attached for 30 days according to the city publishing policy. In addition, authorize the mayor and the controller to sign the warrant of the publishing cost and the treasurer to issue payments from the water and sewer funds bank account as outlined in 9N.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Abdul Haq. Is there any questions?
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah.
What I was wondering about, and I don't know if our director Hassan Jamal is here, if not, maybe the mayor can answer for this. Why was there the motion to rescind this? Is he here, Hassan Jamal? I don't see him.
No, he's not. Mayor, would you like to answer that?
I wasn't aware of this one here. Chief of Staff, I don't know if,
Pardon?
I was going to see if the Chief of Staff, I know they had a meeting about this one here.
The reason I'm asking, because this was, we had originally approved to put out for acquisition and demolition program way back when, and this is rescinding it. I know we're putting out a new one, but the concern I've got, obviously, at least from my head, the potential that this is going to delay things, so that's why I'm asking why we're rescinding it. Thank you.
Yes. So the reason we're rescinding it is because the wording in it was very vague, so it was allowing for a lot of residents to apply for this program without fully understanding the areas that truly could apply for that grant. So this way we are limiting the amount of applications by specifying what roads we are actually looking for and what type of damage in what specific areas. So hopefully that will create some clarity instead of bombarding the city departments with calls from the entire city just trying to sell their houses for this particular grant, which is very specific for the Ecorse Creek area.
Makes sense.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further discussion before we vote on this? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have Human Resource Director Sabota Perry, approval of Employee Assistance Program.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Constant.
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the attached agreement with the Alliance to provide employee assistance program services and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign the agreement on behalf of the city. In addition, authorize the comptroller to issue a purchase order accordingly and authorize the mayor and comptroller to sign the warrants to be issued for the quarterly payments with the total amount of payments not to exceed $10,000 annually. Furthermore, authorize the treasurer to issue payment from the general fund bank account as billed quarterly, not to exceed $10,000 annually, as outlined in 9O.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Abdul Haq. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, Police Chief Myers, purchase and payment, de-escalation equipment.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah.
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the purchase of de-escalation equipment from Vance's Law Enforcement in the amount of $24,975.70. MMRMA will reimburse the department $10,000 from the RAP grant, RAP grant. In addition, authorize the mayor and the comptroller to sign the warrant and the treasurer to issue payment from the federal forfeiture account 265-330-8-830-060 is outlined in item 9P.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Baydoun. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah.
I just want to commend our police department on this particular motion because as I read through it, and the first couple times I read through it, I had no idea what this is, because one of the things this is helping bring into the city is what's called a BOLA wrap. I had no idea what that is. Fortunately, I haven't been arrested, so maybe that's why I don't know it. But as I looked into it and was able to see a video of it, I think this is a great tool for our officers to not only de-escalate, but also continue to keep our residents safe, but not escalate it to a level of getting on the news, let's just say. So I want to commend our chief, and thank him for bringing this type of, whatever you want to call them, equipment into our city. So good job.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah.
if the chief would be kind enough to explain to the resident and myself, what this is equipment do.
Nice fit, chief. Nice fit.
Thank you. Thank you, Council Chair. So Bolo Wrap it's a new technology that's out. It is another piece of equipment that we can use to prevent injury, to reduce risk. And it's not electrical currents, it's not bullets, it's not a weapon or a gun that points at somebody. It's a small 2-inch by 4-inch box that has a wired cable on it. And that wired cable, if somebody's actively resisting, will propel, wrap around the individual, and there's 2 small hooks that will either hook into their clothes or like very, very small hooks, which will then incapacitate their arms, wrap up their legs and their hips, and allow us to be able to control a person without having to escalate it to another level. So it's very similar to something you would have saw in the Old West a long time ago, where somebody would throw a rope and it would wrap up them, but now technology is allowing that to propel out of a small cartridge. And it's just another level of equipment that allows us not to bring it to where there's violence, where we can control somebody maybe in a, that's having an aggressive behavior, but it doesn't meet the level of using the force of, say, a firearm or something like that.
Right.
So Michigan Municipal Risk Management, they actually like it so much that they allowed us to petition to them. They reviewed it, and they said, this is something we want to see in action because we believe it's going to mitigate risk and liability to municipalities. So
It mentioned that it's primarily used on the West Coast.
so West Coast and South Coast, because that's where it came out of, where the product originated. In there's YouTube videos from the company and real-life applications of it, so you can see them. We are going to deploy them. They've been very successful, and we're going to do a 6-month trial, and if they're successful as we believe they're going to be, I'll be back here asking for them to be issued to every member of our agency.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Any further discussion before we vote on this? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have Chief of Staff Hernandez, approval of Studio B renovation design build agreement.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah.
I move that the city approve and accept the agreement for Studio B renovation design build with Barnett Construction Services of Michigan LLC, plus to authorize the mayor and the clerk to physically or electronically sign as may be appropriate this agreement on behalf of the city. Additionally, the city approves the payment of $364,365.24 to Barnett Construction Services of Michigan LLC. Moreover, provided the mayor also authorizes any such payment as necessary as a necessary expense. The city council authorizes warrants to be issued for the payment of amounts towards the Studio B renovation design build with the total amount of these payments not to exceed $364,365.24. By doing so, the city council is authorizing any such warrant and payment without prior authorization by the city council of the specific warrant and payment as permitted by and consistent with City Charter Section 8.9.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, under ordinances and resolutions, this is presented by me, Council Chairwoman Malinowski Maxwell, and also Councilman Abdul Haq. This is a resolution regarding City Council Charter Review Committee.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Baydun.
will the Dearborn Heights City Council adopt a resolution regarding the City Council Chair Review Committee as outlined in 11A?
Support.
Supported by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah.
I wanted clarification on this and to clarify it for the residents and ourselves. So in certain cities, and this is probably a question for Councilor Gary Miyake, in certain cities, the residents vote on the charter, any type of change in the charter. In this particular case, it's going to be us as a council, well, or as we see fit, but it does not necessarily automatically go to the residents. So I wanted clarification.
Actually, if I may, I'm sorry, but that's incorrect. In essence, any sort of charter change has to end up being voted on by the residents. There are two different ways in which changes to a charter can be made. One is an amendment. An amendment basically would end up being approved by the council, initially in terms of language, reviewed by the Attorney General's office, and approved by the electorate of the city of Dearborn Heights, the city voters, and then approved by the governor thereafter. A charter revision, which is probably what you're familiar with in terms of the city of Dearborn, a charter revision commission, which would be looking at massive changes, possibly going from, say, a strong mayor form of government to a council manager form of government, requires a charter revision commission, and essentially the charter revision commission has to end up being composed of individuals who are not affiliated with city government. Thereafter ends up being submitted, any of the changes they come up with have to end up being submitted to the voters and then are effective after they are voted on. So what we are looking at in terms of this committee is not revisions, although this committee could recommend revisions if it so chose, but then if it does so, that would end up having to end up going to a charter revision commission voted on and elected by the voters. Otherwise, this committee is able to end up making recommendations as to possible amendments to the city charter, which then in turn would end up going over to the city council as a body, which in turn then, if approved, would end up having to submit them through the Attorney General and then to the voters and then to the governor.
Thank you for the clarification.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdallah?
thank you for putting this on the agenda, even if it was late a little bit.
Thank you.
But after discussion with you many times that we want to amend the charter.
Oh, yeah, we've been through that charter
We've
enough
been
to
through
know
it
that it's
with Ray
outdated.
Muscat, Tom, Dave, everybody on the council, the mayor when he was on the council. So everybody wanted to do these things because it's never been changed since 1963. And
very
things changed
outdated.
in the city, in the country, and really there are lots of things which are very old, do not fit the city as is right now. I believe, Mr. Mayatki, you done a great job. You incorporated everything we asked you for. Just for the residents to understand in the city council, any one of us actually can make an amendment and bring it to us for a single item. But for the sake of transparency and for the cooperation with our residents, we want to hear from you because some things we may not know what you want to be changed. We called for public hearings. We're going to take all the advices you give us, and we're going to put them together in front of the council and from the administration, and we will decide on the few items we want to amend. Those items will be approved by the city council, then they will go to Mr. Mayatki to put them in legal terms, then they go to the Attorney General for approval. When they are approved, they come back, and they go in front of the voters. Any changes in the charter will go finally to the voters who will decide on it. So thank you, Gary, thank you, Ms. Malinowski, thank you, Mayor, for all the effort you guys done to make this happen.
Okay.
I don't think we should appoint anybody tonight. I would recommend, because we have an election and we cannot have people serve 2 months or 3 months, then they change in January. I would accept to vote on this and to add the appointment of the 3 members from the council to be in January after the election.
Okay,
I support that.
I support it as well.
support. Okay, at this time, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have Councilman Abdul Haq, Muscat, and Wenzel. Resolution regarding Public Health Commission.
I think I should make this motion. Okay. I make the motion that the Dearborn Heights City Council adopt the resolution to designate the Wayne County Department of Health as the official agency of the city to carry out and administer the duties and function of the Public Health Commission as required by the City Charter, Section 5.8, A, B, C, and D, with copy attached as backup, effective on the date of adoption of this motion, and authorize the mayor to sign or required documentation with prior written approval of the City Corporation Council, Gary Mayatki, as outlined in 11A.
Support.
Support by Councilman Baydoun. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah?
so, I mean, I read it. There's no major objections from my end, but I'm just wondering what's the official, like, what's the total objective of this? Because we don't have, obviously, a public health commission, but we don't have there's a lot of commissions we don't have. So what's the objective of this particular proposal?
Madam Chair,
Go ahead, please.
Wayne County has one of the best health departments probably in the nation. And we always didn't know who to follow if there is anything happen like the pandemic. Okay, so we need somebody who advise us. And the best and the closest entity to us at this time is Wayne County Health Department.
But where would it be and this is more for discussion purposes, where would it be better that it's Wayne County, not like, let's say, the state of Michigan's health department? Is there any advantage or disadvantage, or just the fact that closeness?
They are closer to us, and we are part of Wayne County.
Yeah.
That's why.
Okay,
Madam
thank you.
Chair, I also have a question.
Councilman Baydoun?
So are we going to be mirroring the, what their health department and what they're asking based on what's happening in Wayne County, so we're just going to mirror that? Is that what this is
Yes.
proposing? Okay. But it's not definitive where we have to do what they're saying. We're just going to,
No, but we take them as advisory,
okay,
entity.
okay, but it's not, what Wayne County said to do
We are
this.
not under any obligation to follow 100%, but we ask them in case of anything happening, what they think, because they have a very good health department, which is recognized
So
nationwide.
we're just voting to say that, hey, we can look at their
Yes.
information and, okay. Thank you.
If we have any question, we can ask them.
I like it. I love it.
Okay,
Thank
any
you.
further discussion before we vote on this?
Madam Chair,
Councilman Constant?
so yeah, I'm looking at City Charter, Section 5.8. It says the council shall have the authority to appoint a health commission of not less than 3 members, one who shall be a licensed physician. So I guess with this motion, we're saying that's going to be Wayne County.
Yes,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, under new business, this is a business license renewal for West Financial Auto Group located at 5952 Telegraph Road, and X Drive Auto Sales located at 6528 North Telegraph.
Madam Chair.
Oh, you can give it to Councilman Abdullah.
No, go ahead.
Councilman-
It's his right.
No, no.
Councilman Abdullah.
Okay, I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council renew the business licenses for West Financial at 5952 Telegraph Road and X Drive Auto Sales at 6528 North Telegraph as outlined in item 13A.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Baydoun. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have comments from council members.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Baydoun.
All right. First and foremost, I just want to congratulate the officers today that, put their life on the line every single day, to our chief of police, and for putting that presentation together, bringing this community here. That's definitely true community right there. I applaud you guys. Thank you so much to the men and women that are serving our city. Secondly, I also want to put out there, I've had an eventful weekend. Unfortunately, I was able to miss our director of the festival, or the concert. I'm so sorry, but Lord and behold, my wife and I were able to welcome our new home, our new son, Ali Baydoun. And so I wasn't able to attend that, but good job to that. I also want to say thank you so much to Joe Musalam, to the Board of Trustees here at Crestwood for allowing us to be able to use this. I actually just throw it out there in 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, dance Michael Jackson on the stage.
That's right.
So I have a lot of memories of being up on the stage. Lynn, our
You're still
beautiful
on the
clerk, can
stage.
tell
It
us.
must not have been that good because you're not in the
You
entertainment
know,
business.
I was actually amazing. Went on to Crescent and was able to do it there
I
as
probably
well.
have
Did
it
it
on
at Mr.
video.
Crescent. It was awesome. It was a great time. But being on here today, really, it just sparked some,
That's a self-assessment, though.
sparked some good emotions. I also want you guys to know, I know, the beginning of this, anytime, and I hope corporate counsel doesn't tell me like, slow down, Mo, but I get very passionate about the whole GFL issue. I really do. I promise you, if I go to my phone right now, which I put away during the meeting, If I look at it right now, I have a call or a text message or a Facebook message, somebody's calling me about their garbage right now. I promise you, every 3 seconds. It's crazy. It's like world hunger in Dearborn Heights. So I just want you guys to know, I'm extremely emotional, but I'm also flattered today that we went out and did this. Corporate Counsel Gary Miyake, I know you're doing a great job on that. Kudos to you, man, for real. Thank you. Our administration, Mayor, thank you so much. I know this is, you know, your arms are being twisted left and right, but we're really taking beating out here. I hate to see that this is happening with GFL. I don't really like to cut any business with anybody, but I feel like GFL did this to themselves. I don't have, again, I don't have an answer, but it's just embarrassing. That's really all it is, and I hope to God that we can soon, before the new year, we can have a new company out here and get GFL out of here. Thank you so much today.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Abdullah?
I just want to take this opportunity to thank and congratulate our police officers for their strength. I mean, I'm very familiar with the situation, well, just from obviously newspapers and what have you, but that situation that we had there and the 5 officers that we had here and our dispatch and them both working together, I was pretty familiar with the situation just because a lot of things that I read up on it and talking with different officers. And for these young men and women to put their lives on the line for, unfortunately, and you know I've been a proponent of paying police officers more and more and more, unfortunately, nationwide, very little paid, put their life on the line, and how they can have the strength and courage to have somebody on a balcony with a shotgun and still continue to move forward. I hate to say this publicly, but I think I'd be the type that once I hear one shot, I'd run home to mama. And
Or if somebody barked, too.
Yeah, or bark. And for them to have the strength to go through this, I mean, I can tell you, I commend all you guys and our fire department, all of our first responders, and especially our dispatchers, because for those that read up on this, and I know the chief told us what happened, had it not been for the dispatchers and the great job that they did keeping them in touch with their police officers, this wouldn't have happened as safely as it did. And also, I'd like to continue to help and push for mental help for some of our residents. It's unfortunate, you know, the person passed away, and I understand he had mental issues. Whatever we can do, chief, administration, and all of us, to help our residents that do have mental challenges that they're dealing with, that hopefully we could get them some help so that they don't get to this type of level, unfortunately. And rest in peace, those that unfortunately passed away from this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Abdullah?
Thank you, Madam Chair. First, I want to extend my condolences to the Van Houten family for the loss of their mother, Mary. She was 93, and she was the wife of the late, I think, Van Houten mayor. So my condolences on behalf of myself and the city council to the family.
Thank you. Any other council member?
I haven't finished.
Okay. I was wondering. I should have known better.
I'm going to be more today. Do we have any news on hiring new dispatchers?
Very, very warm in here, by the way.
But much better setting than the library.
And I won against the police chief. There you go. With regards to dispatch, so yeah, we're pretty close. So if we had people pass psychologicals, we had people passing physical exams, and so we just have to kind of coordinate a start date for at least 3 of them, and that will be, then they'll be paired with people for training, so we're there.
Awesome. And did we start buying any equipment, or at least start searching for new equipment?
I think we should have music while everybody's walking up, because it's just such a long walk.
He looks
Make it like the Grammys.
That's why we keep bringing him up.
So
Yeah.
that's why I asked Director Perry to come up and talk about it. But if you're talking about equipment for the dispatchers themselves, that's
Yes.
easy, their uniforms. If you're talking about the facility,
The facility
So,
and the equipment.
Mr. Dibb and I had met. We met with the dispatcher corps. We met with Mr. Dibb. We're working with the chief of staff on, there's a fancy term for it, but to start getting the design of a pre-design so then we can find a builder. So first we have to find a designer.
Okay.
Mr. Gibbs working on a package to put for an RFP. We'll find a designer. The designer will come up with a plan. Then we'll be back with an RFP for somebody to build it.
Okay.
So that's where we're at.
Thank you.
Mr. D is all
Now-
over the place. I love it.
The last thing I have, Mr. Mayor, you and I in the city council, we fought for so long for forensic audit. We spent so much money, we went to court, and until today, we haven't heard anything about anything. We know there was $6.8 million at least overcharged to the resident on the CSO. And I know there was other little items were authorized and the treasurer did not pay him, John Riley, and I thank him for it. And they were signed by the late mayor. I need to know if we can have study session maximum within a month to hear at least a preliminary report, because nobody in the city right now believes us. We need to tell them what we spent the money on and what we found. Otherwise, we will look like we were basically going after the late mayor for personal vendettas. And I hope that you can bring the auditors within the next 30 days for a study session so the people know really what they found.
Okay,
Thank you.
I will reach out tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Madam Chair. Councilman Constant?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And yes, hats off and good job to our officers and our police department for their quick action and for the job they do every day. Congratulations to our fellow councilman. Mo B is his nickname. I
He's
was
a
at
new
Hyde.
dad.
I walked in and they said, "Oh, do you know Mo B?" Congratulations for the blessed event.
Thank you.
Mary Van Houten, former First Lady of Dearborn Heights, was buried today out of Divine Child. Sympathy to her daughter Margie, who sat on this council, her brother, the son Mark, and the whole family. There is a procedure, a new law, that allows for a family to have a family member who's mentally ill hospitalized, but less severe than having them committed. And what's happened in the past is if someone gets committed, they hold them for 5 days and they release them. Kevin's law, it's called, went into effect a few years ago, but it's not really used, and family members should be aware of it to prevent tragic situations like happened in Dearborn Heights. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I guess we open up public.
Madam Chair?
Yeah.
Is there-
Go ahead, Madam
Okay.
Clerk.
I just wanted to let everyone know, in case they didn't know, that Tuesday, November 2nd, there will be a general city election. There will be various city positions open on there. There will be 2 spots, there'll be a partial term for the mayor, because that's dictated by our charter. The appointment only goes until the certification of this election. So the partial term will only be for about 6 weeks. But there will be 2 different spots on the election, one for the partial and one for the full 4-year term. That'll be for the mayor and for the clerk. The treasurer will have a 4-year term, and then there'll be 4 4-year council seats for the full term, 1 partial 2-year term that will go upon certification of the election until December of 2023. And then there's 1 position that no one turned in petitions for, and that will be for the 6-week council term. Okay, absentee ballots are scheduled to go out on September 23rd. Also on the ballot, District 7 will have a proposal, and Taylor Schools will also have a proposal on there. As soon as we get sample ballots, we'll have them posted in the hall, at City Hall, on our board, and as well as on our website. And then there's a couple different good websites that you can go to get information. The League of Women Voters is nonpartisan, and you can go to vote411.org. to get information on the election. In the state of Michigan, you can go to michigan.gov/vote, and you can follow your, if you do an absentee ballot, you can follow your ballot. When we receive your application, when we send out your ballot, and when we receive your ballot. So the whole thing is tracked through the state, through the qualified voter file. And one more thing, if you want to get involved in your community, being an election worker is a perfect time to start. We're always looking for election workers. The application, you can call our office, 791-3430, or we do have an application on our election page. I think it's the very last item on that page. And you're welcome. We'd love to have you.
Is there a pay?
Thank you.
Yeah, that is a paid position.
Wow.
It is a paid position. Not a
Councilmember
lot of money,
Hawk has
but
one more sentence.
Thank you. I just want your permission for one more sentence. There's one person I want to thank in person, Lee Gavin. You're doing a great job. Anytime I called you for anything, you were so fast to take care of it. I thank you very much for all what you're doing, and we are happy to have you in our city. Thank you.
This time, we are opening up to community announcements.
Council Chair.
Mayor?
Yeah, a few things. So just give an update. I know some council members asked on some updates on a few items on the E-Course.
I'm having trouble hearing you.
I don't want to take my mask off. So on the E-Course Creek,
There you go.
okay, so my grants and compliance director, Mr. Jamal, he's still trying to get grants, more FEMA grants, trying to buy as many homes as possible off the E-Course Creek. So we do have a plan. We're going to try to deviate some of the water coming down from the E-Course Creek.
Nice.
And so we do have a plan, so I'm working with Mr. Deeb on that one, more to follow. We'll share with the council once we get the drawings. Also, we've had several meetings with Wayne County over the last 2 weeks, just three today, actually, and a couple Fridays. And so we're coming up with some proposals on cleaning the E-Course Creek. One of the things, so we're talking about almost $10 million funding, for the E-Course Creek just to clean it. And but one of the things that we have to actually come up with a little bit of money as well. We can use some of the ARP money. So we're putting a plan together. Again, the Wayne County is really working hard with us. Like I said, we've had several meetings with the county. They really want to help right now. We've got great working relationships with the DPS, the Chief of Staff for Wayne County, and also the Economics and Development Director as well. So I think that's going to happen this year. We have a great plan in place, and we're just waiting for the kickoff to actually start working on the E-Course Creek, that cleanup. For the Rouge, a lot of the homes that got flooded, in the north end, in the June flood. So Mr. Deeb and I, we've been talking about that as well. We working on a plan as well. We have something, we have a proposal, and this is something that he worked on when he was a director at the airport. There's something south of the airport. Again, once we get the prints, we'll share it with the council. But basically, they deviated some of the water coming through, and that area, even during the June flooding, it did not flood. So there's a good proposal that we do have. We have faith and confidence that we're going to get a lot of great things happening here, especially with the flooding. Also at the golf course, we talked to a few people. I've been talking to one of the consultants on the golf course that has got a lot of experience with golf courses. There's a way that we can actually deviate some of the water on the golf course, try to maximize the usage of the golf course. So just to give you an example, we had a couple outings they had to cancel from the last rain, and it took a few days for the rain to recede. So we're going to try to deviate some of the water so we can maximize the usage, and so more people can actually use the golf course instead of being flooded. As anytime it rains, they shut it down for a few days. So that's it, I guess, for now. I think my time is past.
Yeah, it's just one sentence. Just real quick. I promise you guys I'm going to get just 1 second. I just want to recognize Bilal Hamoud, who's with the state. Secretary of State's office here is with us, and then also we have a representative from Debbie Dingo's office, Ahmed Al-Kabi here, so I just wanted to recognize them both for being here today. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will open it up to public announcements in the community.
Hello, good evening, everyone, and council chair and council members. I just wanted to say, first of all, Councilman Abdel Haq, you beat me to the punch. You know, I wanted to reiterate that there's no I in team, and I am very proud, and my mother would say, don't use the word pride, because pride comes before the fall. But I do want to say that you do have a team working together. You have the mayor's office, chief of staff, Hernandez. You have the finance team, which is the comptroller, and our director of budget and compliance, Jamal, and then myself, and also the department heads. A lot of the things I want to tell you that we've been able to accomplish in the last couple of months have been amazing, but it's been a team effort. Absolutely. Again, no I in team. So what I want to tell you is oh, I forgot. Thank you, council members. Because of your support, these things are getting done because you approve them. And also, thank you, residents. Because some of these things, for example, like the DivDat, was a direct result of you saying, we need something better, a better payment platform. And I'm excited to tell you that we are 30 days or less out from the live launch.
Wow.
Okay, that is executed, integrated, it is getting done. And you will see it, you're going to see press releases coming up, and through the mayor's office, and a ribbon cutting ceremony as well. Everybody's invited, you'll hear more. Again, the press releases, and we'll be at the library open houses on September 25th with more information. So this is exciting because it gives you easier way to pay in a secure method. You know, you've got your app, you've got your kiosk, which are available all the time when stores are open, and most of those stores can be 24 hours or pretty close, as well as some of the convenience of getting your bills, reminders text to you or emailed, your receipt text to you or emailed, right? And it's great because you can go paperless, so it's really a great thing. So again, thank you to everybody. And I want to say to department heads, this is also thank you, council members, for supporting the policy, the cashless petty cash policy, that has been fully implemented. We are 100% cards out to our department heads, so no more cash in a box, all right? And they're going to reconcile monthly, it's transparent, increases efficiency. We continue to move to the 21st century, but I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
I know Mo earlier mentioned about our concert last week. I'd like to thank Elite Sports for sponsoring that. If it weren't for them, we wouldn't have been able to have the drone show, and if you got a chance to see the drone show, it was fantastic. So again, thank you to Elite Sports. I'd like to remind also everyone that we have this Saturday coming our Harvest and our Crafts show. It's from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. We have free kids activities, including a candy drop by a helicopter. We have a kiddie train. We have face painters, unicycling, and free entertainment. We have country music from 12 to 5, and we also have an hour of rock and roll in there. So if you have time, Saturday is going to be a booming place at the Canfield Center. If you've seen any of the other concerts, they've been turning out really, really nice. So also tomorrow night, we are having our first of 2 workshops for our master plan for 2022 to 2026 at 6 p.m. at the Berwyn Center. If anybody is interested in attending that, we will be discussing the master plan in length and what people would like to see in it. We've got a lot of results from our surveys, and we've got some suggestions from some of our recreation people, so I'm looking forward to that. And we've got one tomorrow night, and we've got our next one September 30th at 6 p.m. at Richard A. Young if you can't make the one tomorrow night. So everyone is definitely welcome at that. Also, you guys will be glad to know that we have actually started working on the bathrooms at the Eaton Center. Yes. So they are working on, I think, the women's first, and then we'll be going to the men's, and then we're going to go on and finish the rest of them.
This is big news.
Yeah, very good
That's
news.
big news. Thank you so
Very
much.
good news.
Can you please email
They will have
this?
nice high toilets now.
That's exactly what it is.
Kindergarten ones.
Well,
Can you please email this information?
yeah.
Thank
So,
you.
You're welcome. It'll be nice when it's done.
Thank you. This time, public announcement.
Hello, my name is Nancy Dugokensky. I'm an attorney and a veteran of the U.S. Army. I am a former Dearborn Allied War Veteran Council commander. I live in Macomb, Michigan, but after hearing the accusations against Bill Bazzi, I felt compelled to address the council concerning my brother in arms. Councilwoman, you said at the last meeting that you are a powerful woman and a woman in power. In the military, they ingrain in us that it is not about your title that makes you powerful. It's about one's character, honor, and integrity. I personally had the opportunity to work with Mr. Bill Bazzi as Gunnery Sergeant Bazzi when I was on active duty and he was in the reserve. While he worked in the Reserve Command Center as the same as my units, he worked in a joint military intelligence building. I can speak personally about his impeccable character, integrity, the values he carries, and the honor in which he does so. He has always went the extra mile to serve our great country, family, and community. Bill and his family have made many, many sacrifices that if you weren't in the military, you can't even comprehend what he has seen and what he's experienced in his 21 military years. The sacrifices that he and his family made for our country, our constitutional rights, and most importantly, our freedom. One cannot appreciate these sacrifices, like I said, if they've never served. His missions, countless missions that he's went on, he couldn't even tell his family where he was. He left one day and hopefully he'd be back, and no one knew where he was going. The atrocity that he has witnessed against humanity, only he knows and now bears the burdens of those. He never has judged anyone. He is first in line always to offer a helping hand regardless of race, color, gender, or creed. He lives and breathes service to country and to community and to family. Wouldn't it be amazing if everyone had even half the integrity that Mayor Bill Bazzi has? And if everyone that was running for a position could base their whole campaign on character, integrity, and honor instead of stooping to smear campaigns. Thank you for hearing me this evening.
Madam Chair and members of the council, thank you for allowing me to speak today. My name is Sandy Charkowski, and I'm from Ypsilanti, Michigan. I'm a military mom of a Marine and an Army soldier currently serving in the reserves, a Ford retiree, and a very proud American. I find it shameful, distasteful, and scandalous of the council chair to question and attack the validity of Bill Bazzi's character in his 21 years of service to our country. I met Bill through the Ford Veterans Group, where we both were members of and served in various positions. We attended numerous events representing Ford, including parades, fundraisers for wounded warriors, and volunteering at the Detroit VA Hospital, to name a few. My first impression of him was his regard to service to others. Even before he became mayor, Bill had this endless energy to make things happen in keeping people protected and providing whatever they needed in any situation they were in. When Bill returned from his year-long deployment, he was given a surprise welcome home party. Attendees included the mayor of Dearborn, the police chief, Etzel Ford, and other dignitaries. I don't think any of them would have attended for a Marine imposter. I don't know how anyone could question this man's love and dedication to this country, with all the selfless hours of time he gives of himself in service to others on a daily basis. When appropriate, he wears his uniform as a proud Marine who has sacrificed so much to keep us safe. It's not the uniform that makes a Marine. It's the person who's wearing it, exemplifying the core and values of being one. I also need to address any concern from the council chair of Bill Bazzi being considered a misogynist. That could not be further from the truth. This man has always shown great respect to me and never ever made me feel that he was superior or that my thoughts and opinions didn't matter. I know many other women who feel this way. I'm appalled that Bill Bazzi would be accused of being anything but a kind, selfless, and honorable man whom anyone would want to know, respect, and want to be like. He's a true American with a heart of gold. People have different ways of doing things, but to have to stoop to attacking the character of a veteran and even questioning that they are one just shows the shallow strength and character of the attacker. In closing, I'd just like to say, if I were to die today, I would want to be honored. I would want to and be honored to have Bill Bazzi lift me up in my coffin and carry me to a final place of rest. Semper Fi.
Okay, any other public comments? Yeah, it's public announcements, Ron.
Go ahead, Bilal.
Yeah, they cut in front of you. It should have been you.
Hello, Council Chair and Mayor. Just want to go over a few upcoming programs and events. So first off, next Saturday, September 25th, from 1 to 4 p.m. at both libraries, we will be holding open houses. Carroll and Kennedy Library, we will be having a Wayne mobile health unit available in partnership with Senator Betty Jean Alexander. Sports physicals, blood work testing, HIV testing, immunizations, psychiatric referrals, and many other services will be available free of charge. In addition, there will be a mini book sale of many of the materials we have been gathering over the past couple years. Please come out and buy them. We have a heck of a lot of stuff, so those will be available. There will be games, prizes, giveaways, an informational booth on the new Dib-Dab service the Treasurer is offering, and more. At JFK Library, there will be also be a book sale, information on Dib-Dat there as well. Prizes, games, snacks, and a specialized drone demonstration. The event will be indoors and out to encourage spacing. Also, the International Institute of Metro Detroit will be holding a citizenship presentation and workshop at Carroll and Kennedy Library, October 23rd from 1 to 3 p.m. So come on out to start the process, ask any questions you may have, and learn requirements to become naturalized. I also want to remind residents that if you are hesitant to leave your house for pickup, our delivery service is up and running. If you have a hold, you can call us at 313-791-3800 at Carroll and Kennedy Library or 313-791-6050 at John F. Kennedy Junior Library, and we will bring it to you. You can also call us, and we will put it on an item on hold for you. That's all for now. Thanks for your time, and see you at the library.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. Good evening, Council. I wanted to thank you all for having me here today. My name is Bilal Hamoud. First and foremost, I want to congratulate Councilman Abu Ali.
Thank you.
Huge congratulations on your new family member.
Thank you. Thank you.
I had a couple things I wanted to share here today. I couldn't agree more, first of all, by using the golf course as an additional basin for water runoff. It's a strategy a lot of other municipalities have implemented and could save Dearborn Heights a lot of money on infrastructure in the future. Speaking of the golf course, Kim. Excellent event, honestly. Just a beautiful event this past week at the golf course. I had seen a drone show that I'd never experienced before. Honestly, something else. So really glad that we were able to be part of that. I had a question for you, Councilman, that I'm going to actually save till the end about the charter and how we can go about maybe efficiently changing that, as it is, as you stated, a very old document. I wanted to echo our clerk's sentiment that you will be able to vote, and you should be able to vote, early 40 days prior to the election at the clerk's office. And just so you all know, Lynn has been doing a phenomenal job from our perspective at the Department of State, truly. And I say that because not only has she been proactive in her efforts in language access, she's one of the only clerks to actually reach out and request translated voter material so that all of our residents can be participating in the election. Not many clerks ever do that, so Lynn has been very proactive and truly props for doing that. Yeah. And she's agreed and is working to participate with one of our partners in a cultural competency 3-day course for the clerk's offices that we're hosting across the state to better engage our communities and engage them in the electoral process. So again, thank you for that. One of the announcements I wanted to make about an upcoming event we're hosting, October 2nd, we're hosting a service-driven workshop at the wonderful Caroline Kennedy Library. This is in collaboration with the Dearborn Heights Cultural Commission. I'm not going to go and try and pronounce the name that you guys have, but looking forward to the new name that you guys choose.
You said this is October 2nd?
October 2nd.
What time?
What time did we decide? Was it at 2:10? Nope. I'll get the time just briefly. Look forward to that Facebook event. We'll be sharing that out. And also look forward as we'll be hosting a series of these across the community to better get the state resources into the hands of the residents and meet the community where they are. So hopefully we'll be seeing you at those. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bilal.
Hi there, Nancy Breyer. Just a couple quick announcements. Our South Dearborn Heights Civic Association meeting on the 23rd of this month at 3335 South Beach Daily, the admin building for Westwood Community Schools. We have two speakers, and they're both here. We have our police chief, Mr. Myers, and we also have our engineer who graciously acknowledged he would come as well. And that would be Ali Deeb. So if you have any questions or concerns, they'll be there to answer those that evening. We've changed the time. I think it was Dave's suggestion that we've shortened our meeting, and we're going to do it between 7 and 8:30. We'll still have coffee and cookies. And then the October meeting, we have our Wayne County Commissioner, David Kniezek, will be there. And again, the same time, and that would be, the date is the 28th of October. And in addition, at the same location, I will verify that at our next meeting. I'm waiting to get the agreement from the location. We're going to be having our first inaugural meeting for the new commission on the Ecorse Creek. And that would be on the 29th of this month. I will confirm that at our next council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I just had a quick update on the FEMA applications for reimbursement for the flood from June 26th. The deadline has been extended to October 23rd, so I just wanted to remind all of the residents that haven't applied to please apply and reach out to FEMA. They can call the city at the mayor's office or visit our library for further information, but we do encourage you to apply as soon as possible.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you, Maria.
Okay, my name's Leslie Winless, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Dearborn Heights Community and Cultural Relations Commission. I second Bilal with changing the name. I wanted him to go first because I couldn't remember the time, but then he didn't either, so that's funny. But if you follow us on Facebook, the event page will be up as well as the time. And then shout out to Stephanie Shockey, because I feel like she's like the secretary to the secretary. She answers all my emails. She prints stuff for me. She updates the website amazingly. So if you follow the website, all of our events and Zoom links are on there too. So outside of the October 2nd event with Bilal, we also will be planning an event for Disability Pride Month in partnership with the Carolyn Kennedy Library. So that event will also be going up. It's similar to the one we announced in July for the American Disabilities Act that we had to reschedule due to the weather. And the other, for September, we are celebrating National Latinx Heritage Month, which starts on the 15th. And then the other event for October is October 28th from 6 to 8 p.m. It's going to be a trunk or treat event, which apparently is now going to be annually, thanks to our great partner at the Dearborn Heights Police Department, Carrie Hatton. With the fluid nature of COVID, this event will be a drive-through event just like it was last year. And that's it for us.
Thank you so much.
Good evening, Council. Hassan Ahmad. Just a quick announcement from the Assessor's Office. The Tax Appeal Board did meet last July and went through hardship applications. So I would like to ask all the residents who's going through hardship, whoever missed the July deadline, they can apply for the December meeting. As well as any disabled veterans, they can apply if they have any hardship. They can apply for some kind of tax waiver for the December meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening, members of the council. I just kind of wanted to, Bill Disher, Ordinance Enforcement Animal Control Director. Just wanted to give you a quick update on what's going on with Ordinance Enforcement Animal Control. First wanted to congratulate Mr. Baydoun, Councilman Baydoun, on the newest addition. Wanted to give kudos to Chief Myers and the whole Dearborn Heights Police Department for the event that they had the acknowledgement for tonight. That's amazing. I'll keep it short. I know it's late. I think I'm the last one too. So just wanted to give you an update. Well, let me start with my thank yous first. I apologize. I just wanted to thank DPW Director Mr. Conrad, Mike Blackburn, Chris Dishon, and the guys at DPW. They helped me out last week with an issue that I had doing a quarter of a cleanup. I appreciate that. I want to thank my staff for working very hard throughout the pandemic, throughout all of our obstacles we've had. Mr. Hassan Jamal and Joe Hashem have been incredible. I'd like to thank Chief Myers for his stats. He gave me some stats this evening. We recently hired another ordinance officer, part-time. I apologize, this mask is killing me today. Been authorized by the mayor to work overtime in an effort to get caught up on our complaints. We haven't had a lot of people that have been taking advantage of that in the department because they're so burned out. Next year we're going to work on a different plan, hopefully to approach the grass season. Right now we're focusing on blight and approaching it aggressively with follow-ups, tickets, court action when appropriate. And I got some basic stats here for you. We've got about this year from 5/1/21 to today, actually, we've got about 3,800 almost enforcements that we've done. Wow. Plus we got about 250, I think it was, animal complaints from the police department. During that time, we've had 258 violations issued. So we're out there working hard. If you have questions or concerns, feel free to give us a call, 313-791-3497. Sorry about that. Or you can reach us online at ordinance@ci.dearborn-heights.mi.us. I think I covered everything. That's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Yes.
Am I going to get out of here without one?
Nope.
I knew it.
I do have
I knew it. I didn't want to come up here because I knew I was going to get. I thought it'd be before now. Though.
When your officers go and give notice to people for violations, how long they wait before they take action and take it to court?
That's a kind of a subjective question. It just depends on the circumstance. Like I said, we're really trying to get the blight reined in. It just depends. I mean, if you have something in particular you're asking about, I could give you a more definitive answer.
In general, are you behind?
It's like 7 days for blight, generally speaking. If it's an RV camper issue, it just depends, 7 days generally. And then if we have more of a history, like now with the grass, the way the grass has gone, we're actually at a point where if we get a third complaint in the season, we're issuing a ticket to them, just to try to be more.
I'm talking specifically about the cases going to court. Are we behind because the court are not, pushing the cases as they should? Or is it because we hold the notices or the violations longer than 2 or 3 months?
I try not to hold on to violations that long. We try to get them pushed through. That's one of the things we've been doing. The court, I don't want to say the court's behind, but some of the violations go through quicker than others. The average is probably 60 days, depending. They're really busy. We have 30 cases on Thursday, and the thing that people don't understand is when they have court cases on a day on Thursday, the officers go out the day before and re-inspect those situations and readdress them to see if they are in fact within compliance. And then on the day of court, the officers are kind of out of service that day too because of court. So both of those days when they're out, it takes away from us getting out doing enforcement. So that's a long answer. I apologize.
I will stop by and discuss in specific some things.
Okay, sure. Anything you got, anytime. You're more than welcome. You know that.
I talked to Judge Turfy, and he has some suggestions to speed up, those cases. So I'll stop by tomorrow.
I'm certainly interested in that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is that it? Thank you.
Any other public announcements before we go to public comments?
We don't have public comments yet?
No.
No, not yet.
Oh, okay.
Public comments?
Hey, Mo, you're not good enough, easy tonight.
Drapkowski, Columbia Street. Recently, I was at the, or wasn't at, but I saw on Zoom, the Planning Commission meeting, and it was a little difficult finding the Planning Commission meeting schedule, because I guess they only put it up at City Hall. If they could start putting their notice up like the City Council does, that'd make things a lot easier. Also, their meeting was recorded, but yet their meetings aren't recorded on a regular basis so that the public can see what's going on, like the council meetings are. I've asked for this to be done in the past, and with the new administration, I hope to see it happen soon, especially with residents that don't get out as often to see these meetings. I found it interesting that they approve a plan commission or a plan to go to city council without having a site plan. Now, what they were talking about was an additional drive-through restaurant on Warren Avenue to be a coffee house, but they have to change the zoning. So they approved that. Am I right? Is the director still here? Zoning director? Correct? I don't. Okay. So I don't see how they can approve something or put it before the zoning board if they don't have a plan. The other thing is, excuse me, the apartment complex on Warren Avenue that's going to be built across from the golf course here, they approved an additional 2 units to be added without redoing the print. Am I correct? The prints were redone? Okay. Then also at that meeting, it was discussed that there was an issue with the sewers along the trailer complex there, and that they were going to get with the city to figure out what's going on, correct? Or are they going to put in a new sewer system?
They're going to, they moved the building to the opposite end, and the drawings were late coming out, but they were out. So they were late in delivering the drawings, but they were out. Okay. And the issue with the sewers is the owner of the apartment building is going to take care of the update the sewers on his side, as opposed to the resident or the city. So he's taking care of that. That's part of his permit. So when the permit will be issued, they will all be as conditions.
Okay, but from what I understood, there was an issue on the trailer court side. Going through the apartments. Okay, misunderstood that. Sorry. Thank you. So just so the general public has a better understanding of what's going on with the Planning Commission and any other commission, I would like to have them recorded. I know we've got a fine cable director there that does a good job. So if we can make those arrangements for those other meetings to be recorded, that'd be great. And be a little more transparent with the people also. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vince.
Any more public comments?
I meant to be here earlier because mine was really comments on the agenda, but I'm going to read them here.
Okay.
So I had questions on, do I have to say my name and address again?
Yeah, and it's 3 minutes at this section.
My name's Leslie Winless, address 23469 Annapolis Street, Dearborn Heights, Michigan, 48125, Wayne County. Okay. I had questions on agenda item 9P. So at first, I wanted to applaud the police department for looking into de-escalation equipment for their patrol officers. But when I was looking at the link that they provided you for the BOLA wrap, I was wondering what are going to be the protocols for the use of that device, because one of the comments in the video was that some of the police departments are using them instead of handcuffs. I was wondering if that's something that we're going to be doing in Dearborn Heights. I also wanted to know where does it fit in the de-escalation and force continuum model. These can be emailed to me, though, because I'm tired. And I also wanted to know if there was going to be a training or PSA for residents before they started using them, because they do sound like guns, and there was panic in the video that he shared with you guys where it was used on her son, and she thought it was a gun, and he had to explain that it wasn't. So I just wanted the residents to kind of know if they hear that sound, it's not necessarily a gun, and not to like freak out. So my next question was for the city and Parks and Recs. I was wondering if they could partner with the school districts in the neighborhood when they're doing the calendar. I know these events are planned in advance, but a lot of the school events like homecoming and that are standard events that happen every year around the same time. So I was hoping they could work together, because the last Park and Rec event that was attended, D7, had a really big event that was important for the parents, so all of us were there and did not get to take our children to see the drone show, and the last drone show was canceled because of the weather. So I was just wondering if that's an option going forward, if they can partner and sync their calendars. The next thing I wanted to talk about was, I forgot what number it was on the agenda, but it was the TPOAM MOU. For those who don't know, I'm an affiliate of TPOAM, see, tired.
Yes.
And I'm the union president for the Support Staff Association at Henry Ford College. And I did get a couple calls from members as well to show support tonight, because apparently people know that I come here. I just wanted to say my response as a union president is that you do get a voice, and the voice is when you vote for your union president, and it's hard when you're second guessed every time, and you are trying to make the best decision for everyone when you sign those LOAs and those MOUs, and so that is the voice when you vote for your union president, and I would say trust the process and trust the union president. Last but not least, your doors were locked, and there are no signs about which doors to come in, and your cover letter does not say this is an auditorium. Thank you.
Any more public comment? This time, do I hear someone move to adjourn?
Madam Chair, I think you have one more.
Oh, go.
Very quickly, Mariana Hernandez, 23501 Geneva Street, Oak Park. I just wanted to give a big shout out to Mr. Dishroon. He has been issuing tickets for a lot of our bigger issues with the water pipes and sinkholes, so I'm very thankful because we're seeing progress with a few of those, as well as just making it very clear that that was the coolest drone show I've ever seen, so thank you, Ms. Kim, for the Parks and Rec event. With regards to the confusion about the meetings with the Planning and the Zoning Commission, we're also happy to announce that we do have a new Building Department office manager that will be helping with those meetings, as well as the marketing and follow-up for the minutes and everything with that. So we will be seeing some improvements with that coming along very soon. So,
thank you.
Thank you.
This time, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Madam Chair,
Councilman?
motion to adjourn.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Constant. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.